Canada's #1 rust protection. Yariel Rodriguez takes the ball today, trying to keep the momentum going for the Blue Jays starters. The righty is rounding into form recently with only 1 earned run allowed in his last 8 innings of work. Opposite him, veteran Miles Michaelis looks to keep St. Louis above 500 and stop the sweep. First pitch coming up next. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, streaming on the Sportsnet app at sportsnet.ca and across the Sportsnet radio network.
Timber Mart is Canada's building center, a solid neighbor to call upon when you've got a job to do. Your dependable home improvement store that offers the added value of Air Miles reward miles with every purchase of $15 or more. Visit timbermart.ca.
We're 2 men and a truck. So, you're moving to a new home, and all that's left to do is to call a mover you know you can trust. Well, naturally, you think 2 men and a truck, since you know they have lots of men and lots of trucks. They'll wrap, pack, and move everything you own. With a 96% referral rating and the professionalism you can trust, the choice is simple. For a free in-home estimate, call today. We're 2 men and a truck.
2 men and a truck, the movers who care.
At Crown Rust Control Center, protection runs deep because every Crown Rust Control Center is owned by a local family who cares beyond business. Your Crown Rust Control Center is 100% committed to their product, to you, to their community, which is your community. Protecting you and what matters to you is equally important as protecting your vehicle. Did you know your vehicle rusts faster in warm weather? Protect your vehicle today. For a special summer offer, find your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center at crown.com.
Timber Mart always has plans to help you with your plans. Your home, your cottage, your garage, whatever needs your attention first, check the most visited spot on our website for ready-to-order plans to get the job done with Canada's Building Center. Visit timbermart.ca.
If you want to win your fantasy football league, you need to listen to Fantasy Sports Radio. From lineup decisions to daily fantasy to waiver wire advice, injury updates, and so much more.
Overreacting is only going to cause you to play this game poorly.
Our experts will help you dominate.
With Jordan Love being out 3 to 6 weeks, this entire Green Bay Packers offense is now on ice.
Set your lineup with Fantasy Sports Radio. Your home for fantasy football all season long. Channel 87 and on the all-new Sirius XM app.
Scotty Scheffler is the Masters champion.
The biggest events in golf are on PGA Tour Radio, Channel 92 in the car, and on the Sirius XM app.
Radio Network.
1-2. Called strike 3. Berrios freezes Newbar on a front hip sinker. Points his glove out at Kirk as he's finished off a 7th inning of work.
I think he has a really good ability to see what's working for him on a particular start. Today's breaking ball was really, really good, and him and Kirky kind of leaned into that. But the extra days help, you know, when you're a little bit older or when you've thrown a lot. It's just, I think any pitcher in the league would tell you that.
That was Blue Jays manager John Schneider speaking after yesterday's Blue Jays win. It was spearheaded by a Jose Berrios start, but that's just been the story, it seems like, every game recently. Welcome back to downtown Toronto. Game 3, Blue Jays and Cardinals. I'm Ben Schulman alongside Ben Nicholson-Smith. And Ben, this rotation over the last while now has really lifted the Blue Jays' level of play as they've won a couple more games in recent months.
Yeah, they really have. I mean, Kevin Gausman on Friday was tremendous. Great stuff, pitched deep into the game. Jose Berrios yesterday matched that, keeping the Blue Jays in this. Well, the game was really close for most of the afternoon before the Blue Jays could break it open. So today with Yariel Rodriguez on the mound, they'll be looking for more of the same, and he is building off, or attempting to build off, a really strong start against Atlanta.
We'll get into the pitching matchup and the lineups in just a sec, but first let's go to the Bet365 standings. At Bet365, you can bet live in-game on game props, totals, and the money line. Download the app and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. 19 plus, play responsibly. Ontario only. Blue Jays are 71-78, 15 games back of the New York Yankees for the division lead, 7.5 back of the Minnesota Twins for the final wild card spot. And on the St. Louis side, 74-74. 12 games back of the Brewers for their division lead in the NL Central, and at this point 7 games back of both the Mets and the Braves, who are tied for the final wild card spot. The Blue Jays have essentially, not mathematically, but essentially knocked the Cardinals out of any fringy playoff contention they might have been in. But still with games to play, Ollie Marmol's team brings out a lineup today that features who, Ben?
Well, it starts with the newcomer at the top of the order. After Mason Wynn led off for the first couple games of this series, he's on the bench, and that moves Brendan Donovan to the leadoff spot where he will play second base. Alec Burleson still batting second for the Cardinals. He will play first base today with Paul Goldschmidt on the bench. Nolan Arenado batting third at third base. Lucan Baker in there today is the DH. He'll bat cleanup. Lars Nootbaar will be in left field today, batting fifth. Ivan Herrera will catch and bat sixth. Thomas Sajazi, who hit his first Major League home run on Friday, will be in there playing shortstop today for the Cardinals and batting seventh, followed by Jordan Walker in right field and Michael Ciani in center field.
Miles Michaelis, the veteran right-hander, gets the start for the Cardinals today, but before he goes, the Blue Jays lineup is Nathan Lucas in center field leading off. Shortstop Ernie Clement hits second. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. DHs today, bats third. Spencer Horwitz in the cleanup spot playing first base. Davis Schneider moves up to the number 5 spot in the lineup and plays left field today. Addison Barger in the other outfield corner in right, batting sixth. Leo Jimenez back in today after he was scratched yesterday. He's playing second base and batting seventh. Luis De Los Santos gets his first start of the series, playing at the hot corner, batting eighth. And Brian Servin behind the plate, catching Yariel Rodriguez for a second straight start. Caught Rodriguez in Atlanta as well. He will bat ninth. And for Rodriguez, now his 19th start of the year, 1-6 with a 4.42 ERA. You mentioned his last start being a good one. He went 5 innings against the Atlanta Braves, allowed only 2 hits, 1 run on 1 walk, and 6 strikeouts. What stood out to you from that start?
Well, I think just being able to restabilize and get to the 5-inning mark, because in the previous start before that against the Twins, he had only been able to go 3 innings, and that's been a pattern for him at times this year where he hasn't been able to get through 4 or 5 innings. So I think just first and foremost, getting through 5 as he tries to establish that he can be a Major League starting pitcher. That's the bare minimum. But if he can do that consistently, then you're looking at a guy who certainly has the stuff and is building the experience and is building that volume that you expect out of a starting pitcher here in what will be one of his final starts of the season.
And his efficiency a little bit more under a microscope now because his pitches are probably slightly more limited at this point in the year than maybe they would have been 2 months ago. So he has to make sure that he is on the attack and getting outs quickly to get deep, or we could see a lot of a guy like Ryan Yarbrough today as well.
Yeah, that's right. And with an off day tomorrow, they can use their bullpen heavily if they need to. So, of course, you'd love to see your pitcher go deep into the game every time. But they have a pretty available bullpen. No one in the bullpen has gone twice in a row. As you said, Yarbrough is certainly available for multiple innings if needed. So the support is there. The bullpen is relatively rested. But plan A would be to see another really strong start here from Rodriguez.
Rodriguez on the mound now, charged out onto the field to an applause from the Rogers Center crowd. The 27-year-old Cuban right-hander stands 6 foot tall, 165 pounds. He's getting his warm-up pitches in the white jersey and white uniform that is shining under the sunlight in downtown Toronto today. For the Cardinals, they will wear, I believe, their 3rd different jersey of this series. They are wearing their all grays today, with a lot of them hiking up the pants to expose some red and white striped socks, like the leadoff hitter Brendan Donovan. Phil Cuzzi, the home plate umpire, calling for the last pitch of warm-ups. It's Cuzzi, Tony Randazzo at first, Alex Tosi at second, and Dan Bellino, the crew chief, umpiring third. Blue Jays go around the horn. Luis De Los Santos, the third baseman, waiting for Yariel Rodriguez to look up. Rodriguez leaning down, talking to himself, now gets the ball and starts to turn toward home plate. Blue Jays were 4-3 winners in 11 innings on Friday, 7-2 winners yesterday. They're looking for a series sweep today. Yariel Rodriguez wipes his hands off on the side of his pants, steps onto the first base side of the rubber. Donovan, the left-handed hitter in the box. Rodriguez shrugs his shoulders, winds, kicks, and delivers. And the first pitch fastball is in there, strike one. Time of the first pitch today is 1:40 p.m. Eastern, 26 degrees and sunny in downtown Toronto. The 0-1. Swing and a little flare out behind second base, caught by Ernie Clement on the center field turf. 2 pitches and 1 out for Rodriguez.
And right away, we're seeing Rodriguez attacking the St. Louis Cardinals hitters here. A couple fastballs right over the middle of the plate, and Donovan unable to make really good contact.
That was a pair of four-seamers for Yariel Rodriguez, who will occasionally throw a sinker as well. Slider is a big pitch for him, throws a curve and a splitter too. Another left-handed hitter up for the Cardinals. With one out, it's Alec Burleson. Hesitation in the pitch. Fastball called a strike, 0-1.
Like that hesitation there from Rodriguez. Just a fun element to add, and it can be effective at keeping those hitters off balance.
He kicked his leg up, brought it down, kicked it back up before delivering. Now a slow wind in the 0-1. Bounced it to the plate. First attempt at a non-fastball today was the splitter. And he spiked that one probably about 50 feet away from the rubber. Righty steps to the left, twists, and delivers. Swing and a soft roller, third base side of the mound, picked up by the pitcher Rodriguez. Turns and fires it over to first for the second out.
Rodriguez looked very much in control right there. First with the hesitation, then he gets to that ball over toward the third base side of the mound, takes his time, and makes a strong throw over to first base.
I've been impressed all year with his play off the mound. I mean, even going back to spring training when he threw his first side session and dove off of the mound to catch a soft liner, I think that Bo Bichette hit. He's clearly trying to make plays out there, not shying away from it. Here's his wind and pitch to Nolan Arenado. Fastball outside.
We saw that yesterday from Jose Barrios, helping Davis Schneider complete a 4-1 putout at first base when Vlad Guerrero Jr. was caught in between for a moment.
The 1-0. Swing and a little hopper up the first baseline, fielded by Rodriguez. He tags Arenado, gets the last two outs himself in a 1-2-3 top of the first. No score, Blue Jays in Cardinals. Miles Michaelis takes the mound next against Nathan Lucas. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Hi, I'm Buck Martinez, live from the showdown between Pizza and inflation. First to the plate, Pizza's big hitter, fixed rate pizza. An extra large 4-topping pizza for a fixed price of $17.99 until the end of 2024. I dare say, folks, inflation stands no chance against this all-star. Here's the delivery. And inflation strikes out. That's a swing and a drive for fixed rate pizza. Lock in yours today.
Order pizza.ca.
It's time to celebrate you with the Party at the Ballpark. On Friday, September 27th, dial up your fall wardrobe with the Blue Jays Fanal Giveaway presented by TD.
They go back-to-back in the bottom of the ninth. How much fun was that? It is loud here at Rogers Center, and 40,000 are chanting his name.
Get ready for good vibes and a chance to win great prizes.
What a weekend for the Blue Jays.
Fan Appreciation Weekend, presented by TD, September 27th, 28th, and 29th. For tickets, visit BlueJays.com.
At Bet365, we don't do ordinary. That's why we introduced in-game betting. Because when the game starts, the action doesn't stop. With in-game betting, you can wager on game props, player props, totals, and the money line. And remember, in-game, you can track your same-day parlay with the option to cash out. Check out in-game betting and find out why. It's never ordinary at Bet365.
Must be 19 years or older. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you or someone you know has concerns about gambling, visit connexontario.ca.
This is Toronto Blue Jays baseball.
Swing and a miss, strike three. Middle in fastball, but he puts it by Cruz. 2 down.
On Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Bottom of the first inning, no score. Blue Jays and Cardinals at Rogers Center. I'm Ben Schulman alongside Ben Nicholson-Smith. Thanks so much for joining us in this first inning that's brought to you by Armstrong Bird Food. Bring nature to your backyard with Armstrong. Feeding Blue Jays since 1986. Visit ArmstrongBirdFood.com. Miles Michaelis, the Cardinals starter, starts off Lucas with a fastball for a strike. 0-1. 36-year-old Michaelis in his 9th major league season stands 6'4". His 0-1. Swing and a miss, 0-2. Tough year for the veteran righty. 8-11 with a .555 earned run average in 29 starts. His 0-2. Swing and a liner foul to the left. Still 0-2. You go back a couple of seasons, and Michaelis was a top-of-the-rotation pitcher for these Cardinals, especially 2018. 0-2. High, 1 ball and 2 strikes. 2022, he was an all-star, but struggled last year, and this year it's gone even further in that direction. Righty's next pitch. Lucas hits it softly on the ground to second base, where it's picked up by Brendan Donovan. He'll sling it over to first. 1 out.
Weak contact there from Nathan Lucas, and that's what you'll see from Michaelis when things are going well. He's someone who is around the strike zone and does not walk a lot of hitters. Even in this year when he's been struggling, that walk rate a very, very modest 3.7%. So it is hard to draw a walk against him. I will go out and say, Ben, there is zero chance that there is a walk in this upcoming plate appearance with Ernie Clement about to bat. But Michaelis in general is someone who's just very stingy with those free passes.
24 walks all season for Michaelis, and now 156 innings. Clement steps into the righty box, owning 9 walks all year. First pitch to Clement. He takes a strike on the first pitch, 0-1. You don't often see him take strike 1, though, so we are getting to some unprecedented levels already.
Right.
Here's the 0-1. Check swing, called strike 2. Clement, one of the more free swingers, not just on the Blue Jays, but in baseball in general. His 0-2. And Clement finally swings and hits it back foul.
We knew that was coming.
I mean, if he threw that ball 10 feet out of the strike zone, I think Clement probably swings after taking a pair of strikes. But Michaelis has fed him all sliders so far, hasn't given him anything straight. Righty's 0-2 again. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Dials it up to 96 with the fastball. It's not going to get much harder than that from Michaelis today. There are 2 down.
Really nice pitch right there on the upper part of the strike zone, and Clement not able to catch up to it. But it's interesting watching Michaelis. He's got a really simple delivery, just basically steps and throws toward home plate. You could see how that might allow him to repeat his delivery more easily and stay around the strike zone, but it's very straightforward motion.
His pitch down to Vladimir Guerrero Jr. hit back foul, 0-1. Guerrero the DH today, so he steps on the field for the first time wearing the number 21 jersey in honor of Roberto Clemente on Roberto Clemente Day around Major League Baseball. 0-1. Down and away, 1 ball, 1 strike. Today, baseball celebrating the life and legacy of the Hall of Famer who tragically died in a plane crash on New Year's Eve 1972. Trying to deliver supplies to earthquake victims in Nicaragua. Guerrero hits the next one foul, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Typically, 21 is granted on this day to either Pittsburgh Pirates, Puerto Rican Major League players like Clemente, or guys who are current or past nominees for the Roberto Clemente Award. Guerrero swings and pops up the 1-2. Foul territory, third base side. Catcher Herrera makes a 2-handed catch and ends the inning. 1-2-3 for Miles Michaelis in the bottom of the first, scoreless ball game, Blue Jays and Cardinals. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Get your news and politics all in one place on SiriusXM. On Fox News Channel, CNN, and MSNBC.
The race is now a race.
Exclusive political channels and hosts with Megyn Kelly on Triumph.
All right, we're going to get to all of it.
Plus, hosts on Patriot, Progress, and POTUS.
Let's get to my first guest.
Call in and have your voice heard.
Donald Trump.
Kamala Harris.
We got to take this call.
The way you win a campaign is with independent voters.
SiriusXM News and Politics, starting at Channel 111 and on the SiriusXM app.
SiriusXM has everything a college football fan needs.
He's in trouble and down he goes. The ball comes out.
All the big games are on the SiriusXM app.
Down the sidelines midfield. It's a race. Picking them up, putting them down.
Plus, hear daily in-depth analysis on College Sports Radio, Channel 84.
There's not a lot of holes or weaknesses on that football team, and they've got the goods where you want to have the goods for a championship caliber roster.
Our experts get you ready for game day every day on SiriusXM and the SiriusXM app.
If you want to win your fantasy football league, you need to listen to Fantasy Sports Radio. From lineup decisions to daily fantasy to waiver wire advice, injury updates, and so much more.
You cannot afford to drop a running back.
Our experts will help you dominate.
I think there's value there on Austin Eckler in PPR formats.
Set your lineup with Fantasy Sports Radio. Your home for fantasy football all season long. Channel 87 and on the all-new Sirius XM app.
24/7, 365 coverage of all things NASCAR. All things NASCAR happens exclusively on Sirius XM NASCAR Radio, Channel 90.
Stone.
The second inning is presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app for today's baseball odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. 19 plus, play responsibly. Ontario only. No score, Blue Jays and Cardinals. Yariel Rodriguez in the line to start the second. Kicks and delivers to Lucan Baker. DH takes up top, ball one. Welcome to the Timber Mart broadcast booth. I'm Ben Schulman. To my left is Ben Nicholson-Smith. Show Ali's our host today. Nick Blackmore, our producer. Andrew Adams and Tom Young, our technical directors. 1-0 to Baker. Fastball in there, strike one. First start of the series for Lucan Baker, and part of the reason why he's in, the Cardinals having a couple regulars rest today. 1-1. Swing and a miss. Good slider, 1-2. Paul Goldschmidt notably out of that lineup for the Cardinals, but also Mason Wynn not in there as well. So two of the top four spots in the order were open, and Baker takes over in the cleanup spot. 1-2 pitch. Bounce to the plate. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Made sense to go back to the slider there after Baker chased one outside the zone, but this time he holds up.
2 ball, 2 strike count. Baker in a wide open stance right side. 2-2 pitch. Swing and a fly ball, shallow right field. Charging in Barger. Jimenez, the second baseman, going out, makes the over-the-shoulder catch, does Leo, and there's one down. Not the easiest play, especially for a guy more accustomed to playing shortstop and running back at the opposite angle.
Yeah, it's a nice play by Leo Jimenez right there, and those are the types of balls that if they stay in the air a little longer, you'll see the outfielder call the infielder off because they have a better line to it. But in this case, Jimenez was the only one who's going to be able to get there in time, and he makes a nice running grab.
1 out, Lars Nootbaar, the left-handed hitter, up the pitch. Fastball over the plate, strike one. We talked about the direct approach and strike throwing being important for Rodriguez. 9 strikes and 4 balls through 13 pitches so far. Although Rodriguez, I think, interrupted by a B before his next pitch, and that's been a bit of a theme over this homestand. The wind now from Yariel. And the 0-1. Outside.
It looks like Leo Jimenez is swatting at something as well. I'm not sure what, but it could very well be a B.
Yesterday, it appeared that Nolan Arenado was stung by a bee inside of his glove at third base. A few days ago, Francisco Lindor was being harassed by a bee. 1-1. Swing and a liner through the middle of the infield and over the head of Jimenez, the second baseman, down in right field for a base hit. Nootbaar stops at first with a single, the first hit or base runner for either side today.
Solid contact right there by Lars Nootbaar, who's able to hit this hanging slider into right field. He was hustling down the line but didn't think seriously about going to second base with the arm of Addison Barger in right field.
So Nootbaar stays at first. There's 1 out, and Ivan Herrera bats for the first time in the series, the Cardinal catcher today. The pitch. Called strike. Herrera batting .279 on the year, 10 doubles, 3 home runs, and 22 RBIs in 64 games. Rodriguez from the stretch, kicks and fires. Slider misses low. Kind of a funky batting stance for Ivan Herrera. His back right foot all the way at the back of the box, and then his front left foot nearly touches kind of the outside chalk line. He is really open. 1-1. Called strike 1 and 2. He's also put just his toes to the ground on that front left foot, and he holds his bat far away from his chest, pointed straight up to the sky rather than tucking it a little bit over his right shoulder. Switches back and forth as he waits for the pitch. The 1-2. Swing and a line drive, right field line, slicing and foul off the side netting.
Herrera also has the yellow batting gloves and shin guard, which is unusual color combo. You don't see a lot of red-yellow combos in Major League Baseball.
I mean, it does somewhat match the bat across the chest on the Cardinal uniform, but it is not the color that you associate with the St. Louis Cardinals very often. Another 1-2. Swing and a fly ball right field. Barger started in, now curling back, fighting the sun, backpedals and makes the catch. Nootbaar went far towards second. He'll jog back to first. 2 down.
Well, that looked like a difficult play for Addison Barger. He has the sunglasses on. He's talking right now to Nathan Lucas about the degree of difficulty there, but he almost seemed to motion as though he couldn't see the ball and ends up coming up with it in right field.
From talking to those who have played in right field at Rogers Center this season, obviously George Springer being at the front of that, the closer it is to being a liner to right, the more difficult it can be, because the sun during the day is going to sit more over third base here at Rogers Center and shine directly on the first baseman and right fielder. As the first pitch now goes into Thomas Sajazi, it's called strike 1. 2 outs and a runner on first, Lars Nootbaar. No score, Blue Jays and Cardinals. Thomas Sajazi, the rookie, batting now in his 6th Major League game. Right on right, the 0-1. Misses up high with a fastball at 94. Sajazi, in a stark contrast to Herrera, has about as simple of a look at the plate as you can have. Stands a little close to the plate. Pretty quiet in his stance. No batting gloves. 1-1. Swing and a humpback liner to first, caught by Horwitz to end the inning. No runs on a hit for the Cardinals, no errors and 1 left. Searching for our first run in this game as we go to the bottom of the second. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
At Crown Rust Control, protection runs deep because every Crown Rust Control Center is owned by a local family who cares beyond business. Your Crown Rust Control is 100% committed to their product, to you, to their community, which is your community. Protecting you and what matters to you is equally important as protecting your vehicle.
Did you know your vehicle rusts faster in warm weather? Protect your vehicle today. For a special summer offer, find your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center at crown.com.
Which Looney Dogger are you? The fork and knifer, splatterer, condiment queen, or Big Dipper? This season at Rogers Center, every Tuesday home game is Looney Dogs Night, presented by Schneider's. You will have the opportunity to purchase $1 hot dogs from various concession stands around the stadium. Then show the world your Looney Dog style. Because whether you're the mustard maven or ketchup king, no Blue Jays game is complete without hot dogs. So don't miss out on this deal. Looney Dogs Night, presented by Schneider's, every Tuesday home game.
We're 2 men in a truck, the movers who care. You never know when cardiac arrest can happen. That's why each and every one of our trucks carries a life-saving Mikey defibrillator as part of our Mikey on Board program. Whether we're on the highway or in front of your house, we're prepared to help anyone whose heart may skip a beat. The Mikey Network has saved many lives, making Mikeys accessible to the public. And now they're on board our trucks. We're 2 men in a truck.
2 men and a truck, the movers who care.
This is Toronto Blue Jays baseball.
Fastball painted at the bottom of the zone, and that's back-to-back strikeouts.
On Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Welcome back to a packed house in downtown Toronto. Rogers Center, the site of Game 3, Blue Jays and Cardinals. No score right now. First pitch to the bottom of the second whizzes in there at 92 for strike 1 against Spencer Horwitz. Miles Michaelis on the mound for the Cardinals. Up in the booth, I'm Ben Schulman alongside Ben Nicholson-Smith. Next pitch inside, 1-1. Spencer Horwitz leading off, Davis Schneider and Addison Barger behind him. 1-1. Swing and a foul off, 1-2. Horwitz hitting .277 entering this game with 30 extra base hits and 36 RBIs in 85 games. He'll ask Phil Cuzzy for time and take some practice swings before stepping back in. Rookie against the 36-year-old ninth-year pitcher, Michaelis. 1-2. Called. Strike 3. Perfect slider on the inside edge. And that freezes Horwitz for the first out of the inning.
Now batting, number 36, Davis Schneider.
Let's welcome our future announcer, presented by Rogers, 12-year-old Caden from Kitchener, with the announcement of Davis Schneider, who had a big day yesterday with 3 hits and a homer. First pitch is called high, ball 1.
Yeah, that was a huge game for Davis Schneider. The first home run since June 22nd, opposite field.
1-0. Swing and a high pop-up foul, first base side, and that's going to get out of play just behind the dugout.
And Schneider hit to all fields yesterday with base hits to left, center, and right for his 3 hits of the day.
Third time this season that Davis Schneider had a 3-hit game. 1-1. Swings and hits a ball high in the air, down the right field line, foul. Racing back Burleson, but he runs out of room. That one hits off the netting very high up. No play for Burleson, who ran into that short wall. And there are now 2 strikes on Schneider. It's a 1-ball, 2-strike count.
The Blue Jays going with a young, relatively inexperienced lineup today, and looking at it, Davis Schneider, Ernie Clement, and Vlad Guerrero Jr. are the only players in the starting lineup today that did not spend at least a little bit of time at AAA Buffalo this year.
1-2. Swing and a hot shot through the whole left side into left field, a base hit. A little bit off the end of the bat for Schneider, but he one-hopped it through the infield, and that'll be his 4th hit now in his last 5 at-bats.
Now batting, number 47, Addison Barger.
Again, let's welcome our future announcer, presented by Rogers, 12-year-old Caden from Kitchener. Addison Barger up to the plate. He had a nice day yesterday as well with a pair of hits. And the pitch. Michaelis delivers strike 1 off a slide step. 0-0, Blue Jays and Cardinals, bottom of the second. Schneider on first with 1 out. Turn and throw over to first, and Davis Schneider, who does have 6 stolen bases this season, gets back in standing up. Infield playing shifted to the pull side for the left-handed hitter Barger. 0-1. Swing and a foul back, 0-2.
Barger got a little jammed on that one. Of course, that's what Michaelis is trying to do out there, and so far he's been able to contain the Blue Jays very well, with the exception of that Schneider single.
You mentioned the inexperience of the Blue Jays. Perhaps that plays into Michaelis' hand a little bit. Righty's 0-2 is hit high in the air, foul, back behind the plate, out of play. Find some guys that are eager, anxious to produce, and maybe Michaelis could pick on that aggression.
Exactly. And you have some of the more established players on this team on the bench today, and Kirk, Springer, and Varsho.
0-2. Bounce to the plate. Schneider takes off, and the throw down to second is in time to get him. Davis Schneider made an aggressive break there on what he thought might turn out to be a wild pitch, but it was blocked by Herrera, who picked it up, threw it down to second. Schneider's not so sure. He hasn't left the second base pad. And John Schneider is deciding not to challenge, so Davis Schneider returns to the dugout.
Yeah, this was not a good read by Davis Schneider. This ball in the dirt, but Herrera able to block it, and it didn't get far away. So Schneider needs to stay at first base in that play. He ran into an out that he did not have to.
I will say a small wrinkle that I'm not sure ends up mattering. Addison Barger walked almost to get out of the way. He actually did not have to leave the batter's box where Herrera was reaching for that ball. Now, Barger with a foul tip, and that's going to end the inning. Strike 3. So 2 strikeouts, and Michaelis faces the minimum despite the hit allowed. And we go to the third. No score, Blue Jays and Cardinals. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
We're
twomenintruck.ca. We've got lots of men and lots of trucks, so get ready to be moved.
Think 2 men in a truck, 2 men in a truck.ca. So when you gotta move, all moving day. Think 2 men in a truck, 2 men in a truck.ca. Cause all of us movers are not the same. So that's our company name, 2 men in a truck.ca. We're lots of men with lots of trucks, so give us a call today.
Hi, I'm Buck Martinez, live from the showdown between pizza, and inflation. First to the plate, with over 2 million sold, it's Fixed Rate Pizza, a hot and fresh extra-large 4-topping pizza for a fixed price of $17.99 until the end of 2024. Here's the delivery. And inflation strikes out. That's a swing and a drive for Fixed Rate Pizza. Lock in yours today.
Order pizza.ca.
At Bet365, we don't do ordinary. That's why we introduced in-game betting. Because when the game starts, the action doesn't stop. With in-game betting, you can wager on game props, player props, totals, and the money line. And remember, in-game, you can track your same-day parlay with the option to cash out. Check out in-game betting and find out why. It's never ordinary at Bet365.
Must be 19 years or older. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you or someone you know has concerns about gambling, visit connexontario.ca.
This is Toronto Blue Jays baseball.
It's an RBI single, Addison Barger. 5-run frame so far.
On Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
The third inning is brought to you by the local family-owned Crown Rust Control Centers in Spring Hill and Truro, Nova Scotia. Protect your vehicle from rust today. Find your local family-owned Crown at crown.com. Canada's #1 rust protection. No score, top of the third. Jordan Walker leads off for the Cardinals. Pitch from Yariel Rodriguez misses down and away, ball 1. I'm Ben Schulman alongside Ben Nicholson-Smith, and just like it had started out each of the last 2 days, early on, the starters have been the stars of this one. 1-0. Fastball at the knees, called strike.
Yeah, Rodriguez looking good so far, mixing and matching, keeping the Cardinals off balance with his varied deliveries and pitches.
1-1. Walker hits it off the end of the bat to first base. Horwitz charging, slips, gets up, gets to the bag for the out. Horwitz blew a tire on the turf, and Rodriguez was crossing past him on a bit of a miscommunication. I don't think Horwitz ever intended to flip that ball, but he got there in time.
Yeah, with a little bit of a wrinkle as he slipped there and maybe was not expecting Rodriguez, although certainly any pitcher would want to cover in that situation, but they get the out. And no harm done for the Jays.
1 down, infield shifts to the pull for the lefty hitter, Michael Ciani. Rodriguez's pitch. Outside, ball 1. Second start of the series for Ciani. Was the starter in center in game 1 on Friday, now back in today. Right on left, the pitch. Backdoor breaking ball. That was the curve, slower at 76. Strike 1. Rodriguez shook off one signal. Now he has what he wants. Into the wind, his pitch. Peter just misses outside, 2-1. Ciani batting .243 in 111 games this season. Not very much power, only 2 home runs and 10 extra base hits total. 2-1. Checks his swing on a ball in the dirt, ball 3. What he has done for the Cardinals is provide 15 defensive runs saved in center field and led them in stolen bases with 17 on the year. 3-1. Called strike. 1 out, base is empty. Luis de los Santos, the third baseman, was playing in a little bit in case of a bunt, but with the full count, he'll back up. Playing almost where the shortstop would regularly play, with Ernie Clements playing up the middle. Three-two pitch. Check swing, pitch inside, appeal down to first. He did not go, says Dan Bellino. That'll be ball 4. First walk issued from Rodriguez today.
And not the time to do it number 9 hitter right here, 1 out into the 3rd inning. That pitch about 6 inches off the plate inside, and the Cardinals have just their second base runner today.
It's a combo of both their lightest hitter and most dangerous base runner that you walk in Ciani. And now Brendan Donovan is up. Decent lead for Ciani at first. Rodriguez steps off and throws over. Ciani back in with a dive. One out, runner on first. Scoreless ball game, top of the 3rd inning. Rodriguez works from the first base side of the rubber from the stretch, and Ciani takes off before the pitch. Pitch still coming home, and it's a called strike 0-1. Donovan never even lifted the bat off his shoulder because Ciani had that base stolen so easily, and the Blue Jays didn't cover or throw down.
Just a great jump there by Ciani. He went on first movement before first movement. Rodriguez had barely even motioned toward the plate, and he was taken off toward second.
0-1. Swing and a foul back, 0-2. There was a brief second there where maybe Yariel could have stepped off, but he almost got it to the point where Yariel was probably thinking he was about to start his rotation or his move, because right after he broke, Yariel kicked up the leg. Runner on second, 1 out. And the 0-2 pitch to Brendan Donovan. Fouled back into the netting again. Rodriguez ahead of Donovan, 0-2, but he can be a tough guy to put away. He's 94th percentile in terms of whiff rate, swinging and missing, and 98th percentile in terms of strikeout rate. He just does not swing and miss or punch out very often. 0-2. Swing and a foul back again. He's fouled off 3 straight pitches.
And that's what makes this situation a dangerous one for the Blue Jays, where you have a fast runner at second base and a hitter who can make contact, clearly wants to make contact in this situation and force the Blue Jays to make a play on defense.
Donovan entered today, tied for the Cardinals' lead in batting average as well at .271. Another 0-2. And it's low at 96. 1 ball and 2 strikes. All sinkers and sliders in this battle between Rodriguez and Donovan. Yariel hasn't gone to the splitter a ton so far, but it is a pitch that he will throw to lefties. A look at second, the 1-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Got him on the splitter, down and in, and that's the first strikeout of the day for Rodriguez.
Well, that's a significant one because of the situation, but also, as you were saying, Ben, Donovan is a really tough hitter to strike out. So Rodriguez accessing a real good swing and miss splitter below the zone right there to make sure that the Cardinals' lead base runner stays at second.
2 down, Ciani on second. No score, top of the 3rd. And the pitch to Alec Burleson. Hot shot grounder foul, first base side, 0-1. Alec Burleson having a very nice year. .271 average, 19 doubles, leading the Cardinals with 21 homers and 73 RBIs. A 1. Inside, 1 ball, 1 strike. It's been a tough offensive season for St. Louis. But if you look at the guys active right now, so not including the injured Wilson Contreras, you could very well argue that Burleson is having the best offensive year of anyone here in Toronto. 1-1. Downstairs and a snap throw to second by Servant. Ciani's back in.
Well, he does have the highest OPS of anyone in the Cardinals batting order today, and that is both a compliment to Burleson and a statement on what's gone wrong with the Cardinals to have your lead hitter with a 746 OPS this deep into the season.
The 2-1. Swing and a rope foul right side again. Stubby Clapp, the Canadian first base coach for the Cardinals, ducked out of the way. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Rodriguez palming up the ball, pondering where he'll go here with this 2-2 pitch. Just picked up his first strikeout of the day on a splitter. The righty rocks and delivers. And just misses up top. Might have been a strike with the curveball, although it's an awkward one to call if you're an umpire because the curve started so high above the zone and then dropped to the top.
Right. When you look at the strike zone, it looks like it just clipped the top of the zone. Really good change of pace pitch.
His 3-2. Swing and a pop-up. Playable for the first baseman Horwitz. Moving into the infield turf. He makes the catch overhead and ends the inning. No runs, no hits, one left for the Cardinals. No score, Blue Jays and Cardinals, middle of the third. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
This week on Let's Go with Bill Belichick, Max Crosby, Peter King, and me, Jim Gray.
Week 1, overreaction. If you're on the losing end, it's heartbreaking. If you're on the winning end, it's exhilarating.
It's a long season. Nothing's going to be decided after this week's games, and nothing's going to be decided after week 2 either. Whether you won by a fingernail or lost by a fingernail, the seasons aren't determined in September, and the biggest thing this week is improvement.
Listen to the extended version of Let's Go, now available exclusively on the all-new SiriusXM app.
Are you regretting eating that gas station hot dog? Yeah, we know. We've been there too. This is a message for baseball fans like you. Did you know that you get a channel that's talking baseball 24/7 as part of your SiriusXM subscription? What? Our lineup includes shows hosted by former big leaguers and executives. Plus, you'll hear from 17 managers each week. MLB Network Radio is on SiriusXM Channel 89. Or just search MLB Network Radio on the SXM app. SiriusXM Sports. We're more than just a game.
While you're listening to this game on SiriusXM, we're talking about the latest odds and prop bets for this and every game on Sports Grid Radio.
The under's minus 125. Heavy juice to the under.
Every home run hit and every strikeout thrown can change the line.
I can't for the life of me figure out how you can favor a team that never wins, ever.
If you're looking for sports talk centered around the latest odds and prop bets for games, races, tournaments, or any sporting event, Sports Grid Radio, SiriusXM, Channel 159.
In season or out of season, the number one place for college sports is SiriusXM College Sports Radio, Channel 84.
Radio Network.
Welcome to the Timbermart broadcast booth. Collect air miles on your next home improvement buys at Timbermart. And hey, make it a double play by scoring even more air miles when you purchase with your Timbermart credit card. For details, visit Timbermart, Canada's building center. 0-0 Blue Jays and Cardinals, home half of the third. First pitch to Leo Jimenez is a slow breaking ball that drops in for strike one. In the Timbermart broadcast booth, I'm Ben Schulman alongside Ben Nicholson-Smith. 0-1. Jimenez takes again, strike two. It's been a tough September for Leo Jimenez, but over the last two games, he does have 2 hits and 3 at-bats. 0-2 is lined over the shortstop Sajazi and down in left field. A base hit, make it 3 hits in his last 4 at-bats as Jimenez leads off the bottom of the third the right way.
And Michaelis was working him with off-speed stuff throughout that entire at-bat, and he threw him a curveball that Jimenez was able to get a good look at and send into left field.
Wasn't a terrible pitch from Michaelis. It landed outside of the zone, a little bit low of the zone. But Leo golfed it, and now he's on first with Luis De Los Santos up. The pitch. Outside ball one. De Los Santos, a tall right-handed hitter, playing third base today. 4 for 19 in his major league career. 1-0. Pounds it into the ground, foul. 1 ball, 1 strike. De Los Santos looking down to third base coach Carlos Fablis for signs. Now looks out at Michaelis and might see a lot of room on the right side of that infield to hit the ball through. Turn and throw over to first. Jimenez gets back in. With Leo Jimenez held on and the Cardinals playing De Los Santos, a right-handed hitter, to pull, almost the full 90 feet in between first base and second base is available. 1-1. Swing and a chopper right at the shortstop, Sajazi. Underhand flip to second, 1. Throw over to first in time. 6-4-3, double play.
That is about as routine a double play as you are going to get, and the Cardinals turn that very smoothly to erase the threat that the Blue Jays were trying to build right there.
So 2 outs and Brian Serven about to come up for the Blue Jays in a scoreless game, bottom of the 3rd. Serven taps the far corner of the plate and looks out at Michaelis. The pitch. Called strike. Get your Split the Pot tickets before 5 p.m. Eastern tonight, and you could be heading on an all-inclusive vacation to Mexico. Michaelis winds the 0-1. Broken bat pop-up, back behind the plate, out of play. 0-2. That bat, did it break or did it just entirely fly out of his hand?
I think it broke.
It did break. It did.
Certainly the barrel went flying toward Nolan Arenado at third base.
About 95% of the bat went even past the third base bag and into foul territory, and Serven had about half a handle left in his hand running down to first. By the way, for those 50-50 tickets and that potential trip to Mexico, head to bluejays.com/5050. Select add-on raffle tickets. Buy now from anywhere in Ontario or Nova Scotia. Next pitch hit high in the air, foul again out of play, still 0-2.
And Michaelis, with this quick, efficient delivery of his, it almost feels like a quick pitch at times when he's throwing a fastball. Of course, that's not what he's doing. It's his normal delivery, but he is quick to the plate.
No-nonsense delivery from Michaelis, who steps to the left, kicks, fires, and bounces it 1-2. I guess it could not be more opposite, frankly, than the guy he's pitching against today in Yariel Rodriguez.
There's a real contrast there, and I really like them both in different ways. I mean, Rodriguez and the way that he keeps hitters off balance, that works. And I think there's a repeatability to what Michaelis does.
1-2. Fouled back, still 1-2. And 2 guys who potentially have a lot of different influences going in to their careers as well. Both guys who spent a number of years successfully pitching in Japan. For Michaelis, he spent 2015-17 with the Yomiuri Giants. 1-2 pitch, waved at and missed, strike 3. Slow curve, gets Serven, and Michaelis has faced the minimum first time through the order with 4 strikeouts. A hit for the Blue Jays that inning, but no runs and nobody left. No score as we go to the 4th in downtown Toronto. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
The NASCAR Cup Series is on SiriusXM. Let's go, We're back on the track Saturday,
6:30 p.m. Eastern.
It's the Bass Pro Shops Night Race
from Bristol Motor Speedway.
Checker fly, baby.
On SiriusXM NASCAR Radio Channel 90 in the car and on the all-new SiriusXM app. Get closer to everything that moves you wherever you are with the SiriusXM app.
Let's make some smoke and drink some beer. Yeah.
Every night after the final out, the Round Trip Roundup brings you the scores, highlights, and analysis from every game across Major League Baseball, all in less than 30 minutes.
Swung on and missed, strike 3 and a no-hitter.
It's the perfect way to get caught up on all the night's biggest home runs and best performances.
In a high drive, deep right center.
It's the Round Trip Roundup on MLB Network Radio every night on SiriusXM Channel 89 and every morning on the SiriusXM app.
SiriusXM has everything a college football fan needs.
He's in trouble and down he goes. The ball comes out.
All the big games are on the SiriusXM app.
Down the sidelines midfield. It's a race. Picking him up. Putting him down.
Plus, hear daily in-depth analysis on College Sports Radio, Channel 84.
There's not a lot of holes or weaknesses on that football team, and they've got the goods where you want to have the goods for a championship caliber roster.
Our experts get you ready for game day every day on SiriusXM and the SiriusXM app.
The Blue Jays are in flight, leading 3-0.
Blue Jays fans, this is Ross Atkins, and you're listening to Blue Jays Baseball on SiriusXM.
A Sportsnet Radio Network.
It's the 4th inning, presented by Bet365. With Bet365, you can watch thousands of live games, build your own bet, and can even make a bet while the game's still being played. 19+, play responsibly. Ontario only. Nolan Arenado leading off for the Cardinals takes strike 1 from Yariel Rodriguez in this scoreless ballgame. Ben Schulman and Ben Nicholson-Smith on hand. Middle of the Cardinals order. 0-1. High and outside. After Arenado hits, we'll get to the St. Louis Bar and Grill out-of-town scoreboard. St. Louis has Arenado, Baker, and Nootbaar up this inning. 1-1 pitch. 91-mile-per-hour fastball for strike 2. No nonsense so far from Yariel Rodriguez. All over the strike zone today. 30 strikes, 17 balls. 1-2 pitch. Just misses down and away.
So important, really, for any pitcher. John Schneider was talking about the bullpen recently when this topic came up, but he said you got to have swing and miss, and you have to be in the zone.
Hesitation, 2-2. Just a hair high. Not sure if Arenado saw that was just above the zone or was fooled by it. It was 95, an inch above that strike zone.
It's a bold take by a veteran hitter, and it plays in his favor. But Rodriguez, I mean, that same logic applies to him. He has good stuff, so if he is in the zone consistently, that will help him.
3-2. Hit foul off to the right. By the way, our out-of-town scoreboard is brought to you by St. Louis Bar and Grill. Devilishly good since Toronto first raised the trophy in '92. Join them for wings, ribs, beer, cocktails, and catch every play at your local St. Louis Bar and Grill. Download the app or visit stlouiswings.com for more details. Always devilishly good. Another 3-2 pitch on the way to Nolan Arenado. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Gets him to wave at a fastball lower the zone. Great pitch by Rodriguez, 1 out.
Yeah, it really was. Up to 95 miles an hour with that one. And that shows the advantage of just changing speeds the way he has. We've seen the curveball in the 70s from Rodriguez today. That one up to 95. It's a little reminiscent of what we see from Chris Bassett sometimes, where he can really change speeds and keep hitters guessing.
1 out, Luken Baker up. Right-handed hitting DH, faces a first pitch from Rodriguez and whiffs at it, 0-1. On that St. Louis Bar and Grill out-of-town scoreboard, one of the surprise teams of the latter half of the season, the Detroit Tigers, leading the Baltimore Orioles through 8 innings in Detroit. 4-2 is the score. 0-1. Swing and a ground ball hit softly up the middle, ranging to his left, picked up by Clement, throws over to first, 2 down. The Tigers have 2 home runs today from one of their all-stars, Riley Green, and they entered today 2.5 games outside of the playoff picture, Ben.
They're really in this thing. It's remarkable. I mean, Tarek Skubal, what he's done is incredible, but to patch it together with the Tyler Holtons and the Cater Monteros of the world, A.J. Hinch is doing a really good job with that team.
2 down, Lars Nootbaar up, and the pitch. Called strike. They've played better than some of the teams they sold pieces to at the deadline.
Well, exactly. I mean, the Jays are about to play the Rangers, who have Carson Kelly, who the Tigers traded away.
The wind and the right on left pitch. Nootbaar takes it outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. Minnesota is also in action right now, the team that's 2.5 up on the Tigers, and the Twins are losing 2-1 to the Cincinnati Reds on the St. Louis Bar and Grill out-of-town scoreboard. 1-1. Swing and a fly ball, shallow left field. Ranging in is Davis Schneider. He'll make the catch and end the inning. 1-2-3 for Yariel Rodriguez in the top of the 4th. These two teams in a pitcher's duel right now. Blue Jays have the top of the order coming up in the bottom of the 4th in a scoreless ballgame. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Timber Mart is Canada's building center, a solid neighbor to call upon when you've got a job to do. Your dependable home improvement store that offers the added value of Air Miles reward miles with every purchase of $15 or more. Visit timbermart.ca.
It's time to celebrate you with the party at the ballpark. On Friday, September 27th, dial up your fall wardrobe with the Blue Jays Panel Giveaway presented by TD.
They go back-to-back in the bottom of the 9th. How much fun was that? It is loud here at Rogers Center, and 40,000 are chanting his name. Get ready for good vibes and a chance to win great prizes. What a weekend for the Blue Jays. Fan Appreciation Weekend, presented by TD, September 27th, 28th, and 29th. For tickets, visit BlueJays.com.
Timber Mart always has plans to help you with your plans. Your home, your cottage, your garage, whatever needs your attention first, check the most visited spot on our website for ready-to-order plans to get the job done with Canada's Building Center. Visit timbermart.ca. At Bet365, we don't do ordinary. That's why we introduced in-game betting. Because when the game starts, the action doesn't stop. With in-game betting, you can wager on game props, player props, totals, and the money line. And remember, in-game, you can track your same-day parlay with the option to cash out. Check out in-game betting and find out why. It's never ordinary at Bet365.
Must be 19 years or older. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you or someone you know has concerns about gambling, visit connexontario.ca.
Hey, this is Dalton Varsho. You're listening to Toronto Blue Jays baseball on the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Ready or not, here I come.
Nathan Lucas steps in the bottom of the fourth inning. Blue Jays and Cardinals in a scoreless tie right now. I'm Ben Schulman alongside Ben Nicholson-Smith. Lucas swings the first pitch and pops it up to short. Moving back and to the left center field turf, it's caught by Sajazi. One pitch and one out. Welcome to the Timber Mart broadcast booth. Along with myself and Ben, Show Ali, our host today's show, and Nick Ashbourne have Blue Jays talk coming up after the game. Nick Blackmore is our producer. Andrew Adams and Tom Young, our technical directors. One out, bases empty. The pitch to Ernie Clement. Fastball in there, 0-1.
So I mentioned the delivery of Michaelis, how it's quick to the plate, and I wanted to see if my eyes were deceiving me or not.
He winds and delivers. Foul tip, 0-2.
So I looked up how many stolen bases he's allowed, and it turns out he actually is a really tough pitcher to run on, probably because he is so quick to the plate. He's only allowed 8 stolen bases this year. In contrast to that, Kevin Gausman's allowed 20.
0-2 pitch outside, 1-2. And in the few moments today that we've seen him in the stretch, because he's actually faced the minimum, he's almost slide stepping out of the stretch as his regular motion. 1-2. And Clement swats it deep to right center field. Going back, Ciani. He's got some room and makes the catch before the warning track on the run. 2 outs.
And that can help a pitcher, of course, if you're containing the running game, especially that now that stolen bases are easier to come by. You have the bigger bases. You have the rules about disengagements. That can provide little advantages that can add up for a pitcher.
Michaelis rolling along so far. He's given up 2 hits, but Davis Schneider tried to advance to second and was thrown out, and a double play ball has made it so he's faced the minimum. Now he starts Vladimir Guerrero Jr. off with a strike. 0-1. Seems like the velocity's a little bit up for Michaelis today, too. That was an 88-mile-per-hour slider. 0-1. Swing and a soft ground ball to the first baseman, Burleson. Turns, flips back to Michaelis, who steps on the bag and ends the inning. The minimum through 4 for Miles Michaelis. We'll go to the 5th inning in a 0-0 game in downtown Toronto. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
This is Jim Gray, excited to announce 3 new voices to the Let's Go team for the 2024 NFL season. 6-time Super Bowl champion head coach Bill Belichick.
I can't wait to talk about the stories I've lived and the epic moments I've experienced.
3-time NFL Pro Bowler from the Las Vegas Raiders, Max Crosby.
He is smothered and brought down. Max Crosby.
And Hall of Fame sports writer Peter King. Catch Let's Go every Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern on Mad Dog Sports Radio and on the all-new Sirius XM app.
Sirius XM has everything a college football fan needs.
He's in trouble and down he goes. The ball comes out.
All the big games are on the Sirius XM app.
Down the sidelines midfield. It's a race. Picking him up. Putting him down.
Plus, hear daily in-depth analysis on College Sports Radio, Channel 84.
There's not a lot of holes or weaknesses on that football team, and they've got the goods where you want to have the goods for a championship caliber roster.
Our experts get you ready for game day every day on Sirius XM and the Sirius XM app.
If you want to win your fantasy football league, you need to listen to Fantasy Sports Radio. From lineup decisions to daily fantasy to waiver wire advice, injury updates, and so much more.
You cannot afford to drop a running back.
Our experts will help you dominate.
I think there's value there on Austin Eckler in PPR formats.
Set your lineup with Fantasy Sports Radio. Your home for fantasy football all season long. Channel 87 and on the all-new Sirius XM app. Fantasy football players, from start-sit decisions to waiver wire advice. Win your fantasy football league with Fantasy Sports Radio. Channel 87 and on the Sirius XM app.
Sportsnet Radio Network.
Welcome to the Timber Mart broadcast booth. Ben Schulman and Ben Nicholson-Smith at Rogers Center for the last one of this homestand, the second to last homestand of the 2024 season. No score, Blue Jays and Cardinals. Yariel Rodriguez deals to Ivan Herrera. Catcher takes a strike, 0-1. It's really flown by, Ben, but the Blue Jays play this one. They go on the road for a couple of series, Texas and Tampa Bay, and then it's Boston and Miami at home. The wind from Yariel and the 0-1. Outside, 1 ball, 1 strike.
To me, the second part of this season has flown past. I feel like, and this is just my own, personal experience, but I feel like the first 3-4 months kind of dragged, and then the last couple months have flown by.
1-1. Swing and a line drive through the whole right side into right center field. Cut off by Barger, and that will limit Herrera to a single. Herrera came around first hard, but stops there. So that's just the second hit today for the Cardinals. But like you were saying, I do think it's flown a lot, especially since that trade deadline probably. And typically, August is going to be a time when it feels like the season is going the slowest. But the Blue Jays have played some of their best baseball over the last 6 or so weeks. A lot of new faces, of course. Thomas Sajazi, a new face for the Cardinals, bats now with a runner on first. First pitch is hit high in the air, deep right field. Barger going back on the warning track, curls and makes the catch just in front of that track and tosses it back in. 1 out.
I think one of the fun things about a baseball season is you never know what you're going to get. And sometimes there's disappointment. Almost every season includes some disappointment. But you're also hoping for some surprises, some pleasant surprises. And I think the Blue Jays have had more of those in the second part of the season, led by Bowden Francis, but of course with some of these other young players. And that adds some lightness to a season that has been disappointing as a whole.
1 out, runner on first. Jordan Walker up. First pitch, called strike. And even you think about Vladimir Guerrero Jr., when did he really start to go nuts? He was hitting well in May after a tough March, April. You see more of it in June, but it's really kind of July, August that took off. 0-1. Swing and a deep fly ball center field. Lucas sprinting back to the wall, reaches out. It's just past him, bouncing up against the wall. Coming around third, Herrera to the plate. He'll score. Up to second, Jordan Walker. He's got RBIs on back-to-back days. That time a booming double makes it 1-0 St. Louis.
Walker just crushed that one. It was a line drive, and it was a couple feet shy from going over that wall for a home run. Lucas almost making an incredible catch on it, but this ball was just hit too hard off the bat of Walker, and that allows the Cardinals to strike first.
Hanging slider was what Walker got there, and Ryan Yarbrough had been warming up to start this inning. They are limiting the pitch count more and more of Yariel Rodriguez as the year goes on, and it looks like after 62 pitches and 4 1/3, the day is over for Rodriguez. The righty hands the ball off to John Schneider. Blue Jays fans give him an applause as he leaves the field. He'll leave with Toronto down 1-0 to the St. Louis Cardinals. 1 out in the top of the 5th, and Jordan Walker on second base. To tell you more about what's going on in the world of baseball and sports in general, here's today's host, Show Ali.
Thank you very much, Ben. Before we check the out-of-town scoreboard, brought to you by St. Louis Bar and Grill, a quick reminder that we do have Jays Talk today. Nick Ashbourne is here at the Rogers Center with me. He and I have the post-game show. We'll take your calls and your texts, 590-590, name and locations where you can text us. That's the People's Text Line. It is always open. Standard data and messaging rates may apply. We'll throw out the numbers to call after this game is over, and we'll also do some more giveaways today, so stay tuned for that. Have some trivia for you. We'll give away some more stuff after this game is done. All right, let's check the out-of-town scoreboard brought to you by St. Louis Bar and Grill. It is a Sunday in September, so let's check in on Week 2 across the NFL. 10 games in the early window. First, the Seahawks taking on the Patriots. Second half about to begin. Seahawks leading 17-13. DK Metcalf and Zach Charbonnet scoring for Seattle. The Saints taking on the Cowboys in Dallas right now. It's halftime in Dallas, 35-16, the Saints leading. Alvin Kamara with a trio of touchdowns. Rashid Shaheed with a 70-yard bomb as well. In Washington, the Commanders are trailing the Giants 12-9 at the half. Malik Neighbors, one of the top rookies picked, one of the top wide receivers, scoring his first career NFL touchdown in that game. That's the only touchdown so far in that one. The Chargers leading the Panthers 20-0. That game is in the third quarter. J.K. Dobbins has a touchdown. Quinton Johnston has a pair as well. The Packers leading the Colts 10-0 with about 8.5 minutes to go in the third quarter. Elsewhere, the Vikings lead the 49ers 13-7 at the half. Justin Jefferson with a 97-yard touchdown. The Browns lead the Jaguars 13-3, and the Titans lead the Jets 10-7. The third quarter just getting underway. In the world of baseball, a lot of games going on right now as well, of course, as usual here on Roberto Clemente Day across Major League Baseball. The Reds lead the Twins 2-1. The Yankees are currently leading the Red Sox 4-2. Aaron Judge going yard once again, and the Royals lead the Pirates 2-1 as well. Blue Jays baseball is brought to you by Crown Rust Protection. Let's get you back to the action. Here's Ben Schulman and Ben Nicholson-Smith.
Thank you, Show. New pitcher for the Blue Jays is the 32-year-old left-hander Ryan Yarbrough. He enters with the Blue Jays down 1-0 in the top of the fifth. Jordan Walker on second and one out. Left on left, Yarbrough deals to Michael Ciani and misses outside at 85, 1-0. For Yarbrough, it's his 41st appearance of the season, a 3.40 ERA and over 87 innings pitched. Lefty set just above the belt, peaks at second base, turns his attention to the plate, and now makes the inside move back to second, does not throw, just looks Walker back. Yarbrough's had a strong season, and it's been strongest potentially with the Blue Jays in 20 innings with Toronto. 5 earned runs allowed, good for a 2.25 ERA. Next pitch, called a ball, looked pretty good at the top of the zone, but it's 2-0.
Yeah, he's been great for the Blue Jays ever since coming over, and it was such a busy deadline, it was easy to overlook his acquisition.
2-0. Fastball in there, strike one.
And yet, quietly, he's been really important on this pitching staff, especially at a time that they want to get their starting pitchers, including Rodriguez, some extra rest and not push them too hard.
He's made a number of bulk or long relief appearances for the Blue Jays. 2-1. Called strike 2-2. And that's helped him have the moniker Rubber Arm Yarps from John Schneider.
It's a good nickname.
Yeah. Last appearance for Yarbrough came on the 9th against the Mets, went 3 2/3 and gave up a run. Here's 2-2. Swinging a liner, caught by Yarbrough, turns to second to try to double up Walker, but Walker back. I think Yarbrough's all right. I believe making that play saved him from a big bruise, but that one was lined right at his knees or his thigh area, and he had the quick reflexes to make the play.
Yeah, this was absolutely smoked right back at him. He has the presence of mind to look to second base. They did not have a play there, but it's a good thing that he got that glove up there because that might have hit his midsection. He gives himself a moment here just to regroup after that one.
Back on the rubber now, the lefty out of Old Dominion. Rocks back and deals to Brendan Donovan, who bends the knee and takes strike one. Potentially part of the reason the Blue Jays lifted Rodriguez and went to Yarbrough now is he just faced a lefty hitter in Ciani, gets one here in Donovan, and another one after that in Alec Burleson. 0-1. Swing and a foul back, 0-2.
It's a good point. Matchup-wise, it's a great time to go to Yarbrough. And for Rodriguez, 4 1/3 innings today. That brings his major league total to 77 2/3. Combine that with his minor league total, he's at 98 innings for the season.
0-2. Outside with the curve.
And the Jays had always talked about getting him near 100 this year. Of course, this won't be his last appearance of the season, so he'll end up over 100. And that's where the Jays wanted him to be.
Rodriguez responsible for the runner on second with 2 outs. 1-2. Check swing on another slow curve. That pitch missed outside. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes.
From that base, he could build to 130, 140 next year, and that would be more of a traditional starting pitcher workload. Maybe not traditional, but more of a 2025 starting pitcher workload.
2-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Tripled up on the curve and finally got Donovan to chase one outside. Yarbrough gets 2 quick outs to end the inning, but St. Louis on the board, a run on 2 hits. It's Jordan Walker's RBI double that makes it 1-0 Cardinals, middle of the 5th. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
One team captured the heart of a Midwest city in the 1980s.
We became a tough-minded defensive team, and then the adoption of the bad boy name.
They took over the league with their rough style of play.
Lambeer just fired at Jordan.
And will always be remembered as one of the greatest teams in the history of the NBA.
And the Pistons have won the World Championship.
Don't miss our tribute to the Bad Boys, a 4-episode series. This coming week, Monday through Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern each day. Sirius XM NBA Radio, Channel 86, and the all-new Sirius XM app.
The U.S. men's national team has hired Mauricio Pochettino as their next head coach. Here's what the experts on SiriusXM FC had to say.
This is a defining moment in American soccer for me.
This is a coup for the U.S. men's national team.
Pochettino can look at these guys, evaluate these guys, and it's going to be all about merit.
He represents hope for the U.S. men's national team fan.
When a major story breaks, tune to SiriusXM FC for instant reaction and analysis. Channel 157 and the SiriusXM app.
This is Dave LaGreca, creator of the biggest pro wrestling show on the planet, Busted Open. Don't miss myself and my Hall of Fame cast and crew as we break down every story in and out of the ring and talk to the top names in the business, like the legend himself, The Undertaker.
I'm actually glad to be on a real show.
Catch Busted Open live every day from 9 to noon Eastern on SiriusXM Fight Nation, channel 156, and on the SiriusXM app.
24/7, 365. Coverage of all things NASCAR. All things NASCAR happens exclusively on SiriusXM NASCAR Radio, Channel 90.
The Sportsnet Radio Network.
Spencer Horwitz digs in to start the bottom of the 5th inning at Rogers Center. Close ball game. 1-0 the Cardinals lead the Blue Jays. Miles Michaelis' pitch. Down and in, ball 1. Welcome to the Timbermark broadcast booth. I'm Ben Schulman alongside Ben Nicholson-Smith. Blue Jays really have not done much against Michaelis today. 1-0. Called strike. 2 singles for Toronto. Michaelis has faced the minimum. Blue Jays have not put a runner in scoring position yet. Righty with the quick wind and 1-1. Swing and a foul back, 1-2. And because of all that, Miles Michaelis entered this 5th inning with 43 pitches thrown so far in the game. 1-2. And it hit him. Clipped Horwitz just on that front right arm. Didn't seem to get him too bad. He takes off the shin protection and the elbow protection and walks down to first. And at this point, Blue Jays will take a base runner any way they can get it.
They have been very hard to come by against Michaelis, who really has turned back the clock today, looking like the vintage version of himself here in a season that's otherwise been a tough one for the Cardinals righty.
36-year-old and All-Star in 2018 and 2022. Originally came up with the Padres and struggled before his stint in Japan, but really good when he came back. Pitch to Davis Schneider. Outside, ball 1. Schneider 1 for 1 today. He had the first Blue Jay hit, but ran into an out on the base paths. Trying to jump back over that Mendoza line, hitting 199, 1-0. Swing and a foul back, 1-1. In a sec, we'll check on the injury report, brought to you by Bergmanis Prera Personal Injury Lawyers. If life has thrown you a curveball and you're striking out with your insurance company, get ahead of the count and call Bergmanis Prera Personal Injury Lawyers. You focus on getting better, and Bergmanis Prera will take care of the rest. Visit bplawyers.ca. Michaelis' pitch. Schneider hits it foul, 1-2. One nothing Cards. Runner on first is Spencer Horwitz. Bottom of the 5th inning, nobody out. Schneider, who has dirt all over the white jersey from his slide into second base when he was tagged out, looks out at Michaelis. Turn and throw to first. Horwitz gets back in standing up. Schneider, whose stance can change from day to day, has his knees slightly bent, bouncing the bat off his right shoulder. 1-2. Check swing, pitch down and away. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Do you think he's the player on the Jays whose batting stance changes the most?
I think so. I think you last year saw something similar maybe from Dalton Varsho, who, went toe tap, leg kick, back to toe tap. But Schneider has admitted that even if he has a good day one day, he might change it the next day. 2-2. Swing and a high pop-up, foul first base side, near the Cardinal dugout and out of play.
At one point this year, Schneider told me that in the course of a year, he might use 20 different batting stances. That's a lot.
Yeah. I can't imagine that's a hitting coach's favorite quality. Kind of like how we enjoy the Yariel Rodriguez funky windups, but sometimes pitching coaches want the same thing more like a Michaelis. 2-2. Inside ball 3. But Schneider had said that he wants to do what feels most comfortable that day.
Yeah, and for a lot of stretches that's worked. More recently, the tinkering hasn't worked, but now he's turning it around a little bit.
Yeah, it's not a major league exclusive thing. It's something he's admitted to doing in the minors. 3-2. And he hammers it left center field. Going back, Siani and Nootbaar looking up. It's out of here. Welcome back, Davis Schneider. Home runs on back-to-back days, and the Blue Jays jump in front 2-1 on a 413-foot blast to left center field.
What a weekend for Davis Schneider. Home runs in back-to-back games. This one coming on a fastball. The Michaelis left right over the plate. Schneider, as he gets his timing back, crushes it over the left center field wall. That's a huge swing for the Jays.
2-1 Toronto now. Addison Barger up. Fouls it back 0-1. We will get to the injury report in just a sec, but that almost mirrors yesterday, too, where Jordan Walker puts the Cardinals up with a homer and Schneider responds right away. He does the same here today. 0-1. And Barger hits it in the air left center. This one a little bit more shallow. Nootbaar ranging over into the gap. The left fielder makes the catch. 1 out. And let's go to that injury report. Leo Jimenez batting now for the Blue Jays. And I got to speak to Leo today after he was scratched late yesterday dealing with an ailment on his right index finger. He showed me the nail, actually, that had nearly been knocked off the finger, essentially, by a ground ball. He said it bled a lot yesterday. I could see some of that blood under his nail still. First pitch to Jimenez, called strike 0-1. Frankly, it wasn't the most secure nail I've ever looked at in my life. But he said it only hurts a little, so he's going to play today. And the 0-1 pitch now outside, 1 ball, 1 strike.
And that is on his throwing hand, correct?
Yes. 1-1. Swing and a miss, 1-2. Didn't seem to matter his first time up in the third. He had a base hit to left field. One of 3 Blue Jay hits today. Toronto up 2-1. Michaelis is 1-2. Jimenez hits it foul to the right. I'd imagine it's difficult for a lot of these guys, regardless of what's going on, to want to give up any opportunity right now. For many of these Blue Jays, this is by far the most opportunity they've ever had at the major league level. 1-2. Fouled back, still 1-2. For some of them, the only opportunity they've had.
It's a great chance. You can test yourself at the highest level with the best resources around you, with the pressure that you're going to have to face, and against some really good competition. So this is a great opportunity for these young players.
1-2 again. Down and away. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And Jimenez has performed well. He's sitting slightly above league average with his .728 on-base plus slugging. Swings at the 2-2 and hits it on the ground to his fellow shortstop, Sejesu, who throws over to first and gets out Jimenez, who's actually at second for the Blue Jays today. 2 down.
As long as we're talking injuries, worth noting that Bo Bichette, in his rehab assignment at AAA, yesterday went 1 for 4 with a double and an RBI. Today he's not in the starting lineup at AAA, and it's possible that he could join the Blue Jays at some point next week, maybe as soon as Tuesday in Texas.
Bisons are off tomorrow. First pitch to Luis De Los Santos, called strike, 0-1. I think for Bo Bichette personally and the Blue Jays as a whole, that would be a very positive development. A one-pitch outside 1-1, just to have him back and playing because he's been out for so long.
There would be 2 weeks left, so best case, he gets 2 weeks.
1-1. Outside 2-1. And maybe 15 to 20 hits in 2 weeks might make him feel pretty good too, although that might be a little ambitious.
If anyone can do it, Bo Bichette when he's on.
Michaelis kicks and fires. De Los Santos watches it in for strike 2 on the outside edge. 2 balls and 2 strikes with 2 outs. Blue Jays ahead 2-1, bottom of the 5th. Bases empty in the 2-2. Outside ball 3. De Los Santos taps the plate twice, looks out at Michaelis. And the payoff pitch. Fouled back again. De Los Santos almost down to a knee as he reached out for that hung slider and sent it back into the netting.
Michaelis shook to get to that slider there on 3-2. Wanted to throw the off-speed pitch. Had full confidence that he could throw it for a strike, and he did.
Another 3-2. Swing and a liner. Diving catch at first by Burleson. Heck of a play to the forehand side to take a hit away from Luis De Los Santos. Still a good inning for the Blue Jays. They come up with 2 runs on 1 hit. Davis Schneider's 2-run homer gives Toronto a lead. 2-1 Blue Jays go into the top of the 6th. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
At Crown Rust Control Center, protection runs deep because every Crown Rust Control Center is owned by a local family who cares beyond business. Your Crown Rust Control Center is 100% committed to their product, to you, to their community, which is your community. Protecting you and what matters to you is equally important as protecting your vehicle. Did you know your vehicle rusts faster in warm weather? Protect your vehicle today. For a special summer offer, find your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center at crown.com.
Hey, Jays fans, ready to hit a home run with your next roofing project? Step up to the plate with GAF Timberline HDZ shingles, the official roofing shingle of the Toronto Blue Jays. Just like our Jays, GAF Timberline HDZ shingles deliver top performance with unmatched durability and protection. So, when it's time to cover your bases, choose the winning team. Visit your local Home Depot or shop online at homedepot.ca for all your roofing shingles and accessories. GAF, we protect what matters most.
Monday, September 23rd on City TV.
I like to know what my patients are experiencing, to feel how they're feeling.
New series Brilliant Minds follows revolutionary neurologist Dr. Oliver Wolf.
You can't treat a patient without understanding who they really are.
As he explores the human mind.
You see the stuff the rest of us miss. It's a gift.
I choose to walk with my patients, find a path forward when nobody else will.
The series premiere of Brilliant Minds, Monday, September 23rd on City TV.
This is Toronto Blue Jays baseball.
The 0-2 pitch. Fastball, strike 3 looking.
On Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
6th inning at Rogers Center. Blue Jays up 2-1 on the St. Louis Cardinals. I'm Ben Schulman alongside Ben Nicholson-Smith. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Ryan Yarbrough out for his 2nd inning of work. Starts with the left-handed hitter Alec Burleson. And the pitch. Called strike. Didn't get to talk about it a whole lot because it was to end the inning, but Alec Burleson just made a phenomenal play over at first base. A step and a dive to his right to snare a hard liner and take away a hit from Luis De Los Santos. 0-1. Outside, 1 ball, 1 strike. Long-haired and bearded left-handed hitter Burleson looking out at the lefty Ryan Yarbrough. 1-1. Swing and a deep foul ball into the 200 level left side, 1-2. Burleson, a 2nd rounder by the Cardinals in 2020 out of East Carolina. 1-2. He bounces it back over the mound, third base side, charging De Los Santos, gloves it and throws to first for the out. Tough play. De Los Santos cut across the middle almost like a shortstop in front of the second base bag and threw it over to first.
That's a nice play by Luis De Los Santos. For a moment, it looked like Ryan Yarbrough might have a play, but it was just a little too high. So he had to rely on his infielders, and that slowly hit ball was not an easy one to turn into an out.
I did talk to De Los Santos recently, and he told me shortstop is his most comfortable position, while he's been more of a third baseman for the Blue Jays. Nolan Arenado swings at the first pitch from Yarbrough and hits it into right field for a base hit. For Arenado, his first knock of the day, he's now 1 for 3. Let's go to the out-of-town scoreboard for a sec. Brought to you by St. Louis Bar and Grill. Mentioned that the Tigers defeated the Orioles today, so Detroit, as we speak right now, is 2 games back of the Minnesota Twins for the last wild card spot. Twins are tied with the Reds, 2-2 in the 6th in Minnesota. Lucan Baker up for the Cardinals. Ryan Yarbrough kicks and delivers. Misses down and away, ball 1. American League East leaders are also in action. The New York Yankees hosting the Boston Red Sox on the St. Louis Bar and Grill out-of-town scoreboard. 1-0 is hit on the ground by Baker. Diving stop at second. Jimenez backhanded flip to second for 1. Over to first. Beautiful double play. 4-6-3. The Blue Jays turn it. Jimenez to Clement to Horwitz, with Leo Jimenez being the star of that one. No runs for the Cardinals in the inning. 1 hit, no errors, nobody left. 2-1 Blue Jays, middle of the 6th. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Relax into your day with a colorful collage of 90s and 2000s pop.
I want to wake up where you are,
where memories become your mosaic.
So why don't you slide? I'll catch a grenade for ya. Feel the rain on your skin.
Sirius XM Mosaic, Channel 15, and listen at home or at work with the Sirius XM app.
The rest is still unreturned.
Are you regretting eating that gas station hot dog? Yeah, we know. We've been there too. This is a message for baseball fans like you. Did you know that you get a channel that's talking baseball 24/7 as part of your Sirius XM subscription?
What?
Our lineup includes shows hosted by former big leaguers and executives. Plus, you'll hear from 17 managers each week. MLB Network Radio is on Sirius XM Channel 89, or just search MLB Network Radio on the SXM app. Sirius XM Sports. We're more than just a game.
The NASCAR Cup Series is on Sirius XM.
Let's go, man!
We're back on the track Saturday,
6:30 p.m. Eastern.
It's the Bass Pro Shops Night Race from Bristol Motor Speedway.
Checker flag, baby.
On Sirius XM NASCAR Radio Channel 90, in the car, and on the all-new Sirius XM app.
Oh, yeah!
Get closer to everything that moves you, wherever you are, with the Sirius XM app.
Let's make some smoke and drink some beer. Yeah!
Hey everyone, it's Justin Turbin at your 24/7 home for hoops all year long is Sirius XM NBA Radio Channel 86 and the Sirius XM app. Just search NBA Radio.
Sportsnet Radio Network.
Bottom of the 6th inning in downtown Toronto, and the top half ended with maybe the best defensive play of the day. Leo Jimenez diving over to his left, flipping it back to his right to start an inning-ending 4-6-3 double play and keep it a 2-1 Blue Jays lead.
That was a great defensive play, and a nice job by Ernie Clement, too, to finish it off.
New pitcher now for the Cardinals, deals to Brian Serven, who hits it foul and off to the right. 0-1. Well, speaking of preventing runs in a Blue Jay uniform, this guy did that very well in 2021. It's Steven Matz on the mound now for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah, he really rebounded with the Blue Jays. He arrived here in a trade with the Mets, had struggled in New York, but contributed to that Jays team.
0-1. Swing and a miss, 0-2. Matz in 2021 with the Blue Jays, 14-7, a career high in wins, a 3.82 ERA, which was the second best in his career at that point, in over 150 innings. Ended up going to the Cardinals on a 4-year contract in free agency. This is his 3rd season with St. Louis. Next pitch, inside. 1 ball and 2 strikes. This season has been less smooth for Steven Matz, who is making his 9th appearance of the year. Misses outside now with the 1-2. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes. 7 of those 9 are starts, an ERA near 6. 2-2. Called strike 3. Tough break for Brian Serven. That pitch looked to be pretty far outside, but he goes down to start the inning.
Yeah, that looks like a missed call by Phil Cuzzy, the home plate umpire, as Steven Matz gets the benefit of that one. Pete Walker looking on from the Blue Jays third base dugout, someone who worked very closely with Steven Matz, but I'm sure he would rather that he didn't get that particular call.
Matz now facing the top of the order, gets strike 1 on Nathan Lucas, 0-1. 1 out, bases empty, 2-1 Blue Jays, bottom of the 6th. Matz is wind and offering. Swing and a ground ball through the vacant left side of the infield, and a fair ball rolling down the left field line into the corner. Lucas tears around first to second base. He's there with a double. They were shifting to the pull side for the left-handed hitter. No one even close to the third base bag, and Lucas just snuck it right inside fair territory.
Yeah, it's a really nice job by Nathan Lucas to take a pitch and just push it up the left field line, left on left, able to work a double against Steven Matz.
Ernie Clement up now, the pitch. Clement hits it back foul, 0-1. For Steven Matz this year, he began the season in the 2024 rotation. He actually had a good 2023, 3.86 ERA. 0-1. Swinging another foul ball out of play, 0-2. But his earned run average was over 6 in his first 6 starts, and then he hit the injured list with a back strain in early May, had a setback in June during rehab, went to the 60-day, and wasn't active again until September 1st. 0-2. Clement reaches out and pokes it foul. And unfortunately for Matz, a guy who from a young age displayed a lot of talent, this is not unfamiliar for him. Injuries have been a consistent part of his career.
They have, and when he's been at his best, he can be a number 3 starter.
0-2. Check swing, pitch was low, appeal down to first, didn't go.
But clearly this season he's lost that role with the Cardinals as they've turned to other options and has stopped relying on him in that way. So here he is coming out of the bullpen in a very close game, but still not the role that was anticipated for him.
2-1 Blue Jays, the 1-2 pitch. Fouled off by Clement, reaches down to the bottom of the zone to hit that sinker off the netting.
Matt's trying a few different things here. He tried the change-up earlier, sinker right there, but Clement just such a tough hitter to put away because he can put his B or C swing on a pitch and just do enough to make contact with it.
The lefty Matz looking at second. Another 1-2. Went back to the changeup and misses down and away. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Sinker and change are the feature pitches for Matz, but he will mix in a slider and curveball as well. Inside move and a look to second. No throw over there. Lucas back in easily. Two-two. Swing and a mile-high pop-up third base side, just inside foul territory. It's caught by Nolan Arenado, who skipped over the line into the foul side to make the play. 2 down. Matz goes to the rosin bag to get some grip before he faces his former teammate, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Runner on second, 2 down, bottom of the 6th. Blue Jays up 2-1. Vlad, though, 0 for 2 today. And he's not going to face him as Ollie Marmol calls for the intentional walk, so Guerrero jogs down to first.
And you can hear the fans don't like it, and understandably so. They want to see Vlad Guerrero Jr. hit, and you can see why the Cardinals don't want to see him hit against the left-hander Steven Matz. But instead it'll be Horwitz, the lefty, against the lefty. Vladdy got an intentional walk. Was it yesterday?
Yesterday.
Yeah.
Or rather, 2 days ago in extra innings.
Yeah.
First and second, 2 outs. The pitch to Horwitz is a broken bat bouncer foul, 0-1. For Guerrero, that is the 11th time he's been intentionally walked this year. It's career high. Frankly, though, I don't know about you, I'm almost surprised he hasn't been walked more rather than being shocked when he is walked.
I agree. It makes so much sense. We saw yesterday Yankees-Red Sox, Garrett Cole intentionally walking Rafael Devers with the bases empty. And that is, what happened right here. Oh, no, they have a runner on second base as well. But, yeah, that's a sign of respect for Devers. I would think that Vlad Guerrero Jr. is certainly that caliber of hitter, that we could see more of that.
I think you look at the combination, too. While the Blue Jays have a lot of young, exciting players, there aren't that many established guys. You would guess that pitching coaches would be thinking about attacking other guys as the next pitch misses low to Horwitz, 1 ball, 1 strike, rather than taking their chances with Guerrero, who it seems like worst case is going to be the runner-up for the batting title this year. Guerrero on first, Lucas on second, 2 outs, and Matz is 1-1 to Horwitz. Called strike, 1-2.
And I think as the Jays look ahead, that's connected to why they will be searching for a hitter this offseason, if not multiple hitters, to augment this lineup and make it that much harder to navigate.
1-2 pitch is hit on a line, but caught. No, it's snared on a hop at first by Burleson, who will jog to the bag and end the inning. No runs for the Blue Jays, 1 hit to left. Let's go to the 7th, where it's still 2-1 Toronto. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
We're 2 men and a truck. So, you're moving to a new home, and all that's left to do is to call a mover you know you can trust. Well, naturally, you think 2 men and a truck, since you know they have lots of men and lots of trucks. They'll wrap, pack, and move everything you own. With a 96% referral rating and the professionalism you can trust, the choice is simple. For a free in-home estimate, call today. We're 2 men and a truck.
2 men and a truck, the movers who care.
At Crown Rust Control, protection runs deep because every Crown Rust Control Center is owned by a local family who cares beyond business. Your Crown Rust Control is 100% committed to their product, to you, to their community, which is your community. Protecting you and what matters to you is equally important as protecting your vehicle.
Did you know your vehicle rusts faster in warm weather? Protect your vehicle today. For a special summer offer, find your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center at crown.com.
Which Looney Dogger are you? The fork and knifer, splatterer, condiment queen, or Big Dipper? This season at Rogers Center, every Tuesday home game is Looney Dogs Night, presented by Schneider's. You will have the opportunity to purchase $1 hot dogs from various concession stands around the stadium. Then show the world your Looney Dog style. Because whether you're the mustard maven or ketchup king, no Blue Jays game is complete without hot dogs. So don't miss out on this deal. Looney Dogs Night, presented by Schneider's, every Tuesday home game.
Welcome back to Rogers Center. Top of the 7th inning. Blue Jays up 2-1 on the Cardinals. Ryan Yarbrough missed outside with the first pitch of the frame. Now misses inside with the second to Lars Nootbaar, 2-0. Again, 2-1 Blue Jays. I'm Ben Schulman alongside Ben Nicholson-Smith. Ryan Yarbrough pitching in now his 3rd inning of relief. Lefty with a breath and the 2-0. Swing and a deep fly ball right field. Going back, Barger turns, and that ball's out of here, and we are tied. A frozen rope off the bat of Lars Nootbaar. Pulled it to right field. It's 2-2.
Great swing by Lars Nootbaar right there. A line drive shot straight into the right field bleacher area. And that is an impressive swing. Lefty on lefty by Nootbaar. And enough to tie this game. Looks like John Schneider might be going to the bullpen.
Blue Jays were leaving Yarbrough in to go left on left with Nootbaar. Eric Swanson has been loosening up, so now Swanson will enter in a 2-2 game. Nobody out. Top of the 7th. Let's go to today's host. Here's Show Ali.
Thank you very much, Ben. And before we check the St. Louis Bar and Grill out-of-town scoreboard, quick reminder that we do have Jays Talk today. Nick Ashbourne and I will have the post-game show down here at the Dome. We'll take your calls and your texts. You can text us 590-590, name and location. That is the People's Text line. It is always open. Standard data and messaging rates do apply. For the phones, we'll throw out the numbers to call after this game is over, and we'll also do some giveaways today. So stick around. We'll have some trivia questions for you to answer. Again, you can text those answers to 590-590, name and location. All right, let's check the St. Louis Bar and Grill out-of-town scoreboard. We'll actually start with Major League Baseball. Just one early final in the books. The Tigers thumping the Orioles 4-2. The game was tied at 2 heading into the bottom of the 8th inning, but Riley Green blasting a 2-run shot to give Detroit the lead. Jason Foley converts the save, and the Tigers grab the win. Other games going on right now across the major leagues of baseball. The Guardians up 2-0 on the Rays. The Pirates up right now on the Royals. They are up 3-2. The Yankees up 4-2 on the Red Sox in New York. Aaron Judge and Tyler O'Neill trading home runs in that one. The Chicago White Sox up 3-0. Bottom of the 4th inning on the Oakland A's on the south side of Chicago. And late in this ballgame in Philadelphia, the Mets are up 1-0. In the NFL, still lots of action going on in the early window across the NFL. The Saints up 41-19. Alvin Kamara with 4 touchdowns in this game. Ravens up 16-6. The Commanders now up 15-12. Lots of field goals for Washington in that game. The Chargers currently pummeling the Panthers 23-3. J.K. Dobbins with a touchdown in that game. The Packers leading the Colts 16-3. The Vikings on top of the 49ers 20-7. Justin Jefferson and Jalen Naylor both with touchdowns. The Browns lead the Jaguars 16-10. The Jets lead the Titans 17-10. And Baker Mayfield taking it in himself. The Buccaneers lead the Lions 20-16. Blue Jays baseball is brought to you by Crown Rust Protection. Let's get you back to the action. Here's Ben Schulman and Ben Nicholson-Smith.
Thank you, Show. Nobody out. Tie ball game. Top of the 7th. 2-2. Eric Swanson in, deals to Ivan Herrera, the catcher, and misses down and away. Ball 1. For the righty relievers, Swanson, his 39th appearance of the year, an earned run average a little bit below 6. 1-0. Fastball misses high, 2 balls and no strikes. Swanson coming into this one on the back of 4 consecutive scoreless appearances, and the last one maybe his most impressive. 2-0. Inside ball 3. Pitched in the 11th inning of the Blue Jays walk-off win on Friday and held that automatic runner from scoring in that 11th inning. Picked up the win in that game as the Blue Jays walked it off in the bottom half. His 3-0. High ball 4, but that is not a great start to this outing, a 4-pitch walk.
Yeah, that's a tough one. He had pitched so well on Friday, striking out Mason Wynn to end that inning and make sure that the Jays had a chance to walk it off, which of course they did thanks to Alejandro Kirk, but right here, leadoff walk, you can't do that, and that is something that Swanson has struggled with, is the walks. Have even in the course of some of these recent outings, he has been walking hitters.
So runner on first, Thomas Ajazi up the pitch. Fastball, or make that the slider at the knees, strike 1. Swanson had gone walkless in the 4 consecutive scoreless appearances. That streak ends after the leadoff walk to Herrera, who has stolen 5 bases this year. 0-1. Swing and a very high pop-up. Foul territory, third base side. De Los Santos on the side. Warning track just ran out of room. That got over the netting and into the seats. And it's 0-2.
That fell right along the line of the netting. If the netting hadn't been there, which of course it's a great thing that it is there, but if it hadn't been there, then De Los Santos might have had a chance to dive into the seats and make a play.
Kind of Donaldson in Tampa-esque kind of deal where he dives in.
Brett Laurie into the camera bay in Yankee Stadium.
0-2. Swing and a liner, foul, right field side. Horwitz pretending that he caught the ball and fake tagging the runner Herrera. But that one whizzed past Horwitz, first base coach Stubby Clapp, and first base umpire Tony Randazza. Swanson twists his hips as he comes set. Another 0-2. Bounced it to the plate. Good backhanded pick by Servant, who popped up to check on the runner, and now will ask for a new baseball.
It was always going to be a challenge for the Blue Jays to navigate these late innings once they removed Yariel Rodriguez in the 5th inning, and Yarbrough did a nice job until allowing that home run by Nootbaar.
Swanson turns, throws to first, a dive back safe by Herrera. Nootbaar homer just before the pitching change in this top of the 7th, and that turned a 2-1 Blue Jay lead into a 2-2 game. One-two. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Gets him to wave over top of the splitter, and a strikeout for Swanson in the top of the 7th.
Inducing an off-balance swing from Sajazi right there. Just getting used to the major leagues. Probably hasn't seen a lot of splitters like that one, and he swings right over it.
Of course, that's an important pitch for Swanson to execute, maybe his most important pitch. See what he uses now against Jordan Walker, the right-handed hitter. Swanson offers, and Walker takes a fastball for strike 1. Genesis Cabrera is up in the Blue Jay bullpen, and this is the 3rd batter that Swanson's faced in the inning. You do wonder, with 3 consecutive left-handed hitters due up for St. Louis after Walker, if this is it for Swanson. 0-1. Swing and a grounder foul, 0-2.
Yeah, this is the spot that they chose to bring in Yarbrough a couple innings back, so they could use that same strategy here when Siani steps in. Of course, at that point, Ollie Marmol and the Cardinals could counter if they wanted to.
Oh-2. Low with the splitter, and Walker never thought about it. Put his bat down right away. It's 1 ball and 2 strikes. Swanson looks over at first now, sets. One more peek over there. He kicks and delivers. Swing and a very high fly ball, very shallow right field. Jimenez, the second baseman, going out. He's going to make the catch again over the shoulder. Second time he's done that today, and there are 2 outs. With the string of left-handed hitters about to come up for the Cardinals, John Schneider steps out of the dugout for the Blue Jays and makes the point to left field to the bullpen. They're going to go to Genesis Cabrera to get the left-on-left matchup. So after a walk, a strikeout, and a pop-up induced, Eric Swanson's relief appearance is over. 2-2 ball game, runner on first, 2 outs, top of the 7th. Let's go back to Show Ali.
Thank you very much, Ben. Before we get into the out-of-town scoreboard, let's check in with Jays Talk. Just a reminder on that, because Nick Ashburn and I have the post-game show after this game is over here at the Rogers Center. We'll take your calls and texts. 590-590, name and location is where you can text us. That's the People's Text line. It's always open. Standard data and messaging rates may apply if you do choose to text us. We'll throw the numbers out for you to call once this game is over. We'll announce the winner of yesterday's giveaway on Jays Talk. And we'll also give away some more stuff. Got some Bo Bichette bobblehead, got some Caravana hats, and also, because it is Roberto Clemente Day, I still have one of those Jose Barrios bobbleheads from last year that we never gave away, so we'll give that away today as well. Still lots of stuff for you to win, so be sure to stick around with us on Jays Talk once this game is over. All right, let's check the out-of-town scoreboard, brought to you by St. Louis Bar and Grill. Lots of stuff going on across the world of sports. In the NBA, if you missed this from yesterday, former Raptors second-round pick Christian Koloko has officially made his return to the NBA. He is signing with the Los Angeles Lakers. If you recall, Koloko had been waived back earlier in the year after being diagnosed with what had been called a respiratory issue. Shams Charania has reported it was a blood clot issue. Either way, the NBA's fitness to play panel has cleared him to return, and he will now be a Laker. Some scores from around the NFL. Still lots of updates. The Cowboys now threatening that they're on the New Orleans Saints 16-yard line with about 13 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. The Saints do lead the Cowboys in Dallas 41-19. The Ravens now lead the Raiders 16-13. The Commanders ahead on the Giants 15-12. Still lots of field goals in that game. The Packers on top of the Colts 16-3. The Vikings leading the 49ers 20-7. George Kittle was removed from that game. He was carted to the locker room, though the report was that he was cramping and did receive an IV. The Browns lead the Jaguars 16-10. The Jets and Titans tied at 17 with 2 minutes to go in the third quarter. Breece Hall making a phenomenal grab in that game, and the Buccaneers lead the Lions 20-16. Around Major League Baseball, still some scores. The Pittsburgh Pirates lead the Kansas City Royals 4-2. The Guardians on top of the Rays 2-0, bottom of the 6th inning. And the Minnesota Twins lead the Reds 6-2, bottom of the 7th inning at Target Field in Minnesota. Blue Jays Baseball is brought to you by Crown Rust Protection. Here's Ben Schulman and Ben Nicholson-Smith.
Thank you, Show. 2-2 ball game, top of the 7th, 2 outs, runner on first base, and Yenesis Cabrera in to face off with Michael Ciani. Left on left, the pitch home. Low ball 1. For the lefty, Cabrera, his 64th appearance of the year, 3.16 ERA. Trying to right the ship a little bit after giving up home runs in each of his last 2 outings. 1-0. Called strike with the cutter. Four-seamer, sinker, cutter, curve, and changeup for the southpaw. Cabrera set at the chest, looking at first. Now the pitch home. Another cutter called a strike. 1-2. Cabrera, the third Blue Jay pitcher this inning. Cardinals tied it up on a home run off the first one, Ryan Yarbrough. 2-2 game, 2 outs in the 1-2 pitch. Swing and a fly ball left field. Moving back, Schneider has a beat on it, makes the catch, and ends the inning. We go to the 7th inning stretch. 2-2 thanks to Lars Nootbaar's home run. We'll be back in a moment at Rogers Center. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
At Crown Rust Control Center, protection runs deep because every Crown Rust Control Center is owned by a local family who cares beyond business. Your Crown Rust Control Center is 100% committed to their product, to you, to their community, which is your community. Protecting you and what matters to you is equally important as protecting your vehicle. Did you know your vehicle rusts faster in warm weather? Protect your vehicle today. For a special summer offer, find your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center at crown.com.
It's time to celebrate you with the Party at the Ballpark. On Friday, September 27th, dial up your fall wardrobe with the Blue Jays Fanal Giveaway presented by TD.
They go back-to-back in the bottom of the 9th. How much fun was that? It is loud here at Rogers Center, and 40,000 are chanting his name.
Get ready for good vibes and a chance to win great prizes.
What a weekend for the Blue Jays.
Fan Appreciation Weekend, presented by TD, September 27th, 28th, and 29th. For tickets, visit BlueJays.com.
October 3rd on City TV.
You're safe. I got you.
Law & Order Thursday returns with all new seasons of Law & Order.
I love this job, and I love trying cases.
And Olivia Benson is back with Law & Order SVU.
I've dedicated my life to helping victims. So you're not giving up on us. Giving up? I'm just getting started.
Law & Order Thursday premieres October 3rd on City TV, or stream it on City TV Plus.
This is Toronto Blue Jays baseball.
A game-tying blast from Bo Bichette.
On Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Davis Schneider stepping in for the Blue Jays to start the bottom of the 7th inning in a big spot all of a sudden. 2-2 ball game after Lars Nootbaar's game-tying homer in the top half. And now the pitch from Steven Matz misses outside, ball 1. I'm Ben Schulman alongside Ben Nicholson-Smith. Thanks so much for spending your Sunday with us. 1-0 to Schneider. Inside, 2 balls and no strikes.
In some ways, this is a more favorable matchup for Schneider because he's seeing the left-hander.
2-0. Called strike 2 and 1.
But he did a great job, of course, to do a lot of damage against right-handed pitching in the last 24 hours.
Home run and single today, 2-1. Called strike 2 and 2. Schneider 5 for 6 over the last 2 days. 4 RBIs, helped by 2 home runs. 2-2. Check swing, called strike 3. Fastball just got the inside edge. Great pitch by Matz, and there's 1 out. Welcome to the Timber Mart broadcast booth. Ben Schulman, Ben Nicholson-Smith, Show Ali, our host today, Nick Blackmore, our producer, Andrew Adams, and Tom Young, our technical directors. 1 out and Addison Barger up. After 2 hits yesterday, Barger hitless in 2 at-bats today. He swings at the first pitch and loops it out to the shortstop, Sajazi, who makes a routine catch. 2 down.
Looked like Barger got jammed right there and not able to make especially good contact. So that's a couple of very quick outs for Matz.
And you could see right there the tantalizing stuff of Steven Matz, who threw that sinker 95 in on the hands. Now a first pitch breaking ball freezes Jimenez for strike 1. Matz in his second inning winds and offers, and Jimenez hits it foul, 0-2. Not only is Matz efficient, but he just is working quickly generally. Gets the ball back, gets back on the rubber, and now into the wind. 0-2. And it hit Jimenez on the hand. 14th time this season, Leo Jimenez has been hit by a pitch in 53 games. And Phil Cuzzy actually called that foul. Jimenez is shaking his hand out right now. So pardon me, they have not called it a hit by pitch, but the Blue Jays are looking at it and will challenge.
Yeah, regardless of how this is ruled, Leo Jimenez gets hit by so many pitches. This one comes in, and it seems to get both his hand and the knob of his bat, so that's going to be a tough call. But just for context...
Field is a foul ball. Toronto has challenged the possibility of a hit by pitch.
So for context, you look back, 2000, Carlos Delgado of the Blue Jays leads the league in hit by pitches with 15. Leo Jimenez, who doesn't play every day, who spent most of the year at AAA, already up to what would be a potential 14th hit by pitch. It is uncanny just how much he gets hit.
Even at 13 right now, there isn't another Blue Jay who has half as many as Leo Jimenez. Springer's been hit by 6, Turner was hit by 6, IKF was hit by 6, and Biggio was hit by 6. But no one is even at 7, and Leo's at 13 in 52 games.
If you put him in the National League, the leaders there, Jock Peterson, Jurickson Profar, was 16 each. And that's in a full season. Those guys play every single day.
Fans getting a look at this one right now. It is a little bit hard to tell. I think it got that plastic hand protector first before it got the bat. But it's going to be a tight call for the umpires in New York.
Yeah, it seems to hit both.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. It is a foul ball. Toronto will lose its challenge.
And the ruling on the field standing there. Could see how there wasn't enough to overturn the call, so Jimenez will have to go back up to the plate with 2 strikes on him and 2 outs in the inning. No one on for the Blue Jays. 2-2, Cardinals and Blue Jays, bottom of the 7th. Fans really not happy about that one. Here's the 0-2. Just off the plate outside. Left on right matchup. Matz nods, kicks, offers. And a swing and a miss by Jimenez. Strike 3. 1-2-3 inning for Matz with a pair of strikeouts. Let's go to the 8th. 2-2 Cardinals and Blue Jays. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center. Streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
To truly go inside the game of pro football, you need to see things from the player's perspective.
Let's go.
Every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, catch the Player's Point.
Let's go. Let's bring energy.
Join NFL tight end Colin Thompson and Miami Dolphins fullback Alec Ingold as they break down the biggest stories in the NFL.
It's an encouraging way to look at football.
The Player's Point. Every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern on NFL Radio, Channel 88 in the car and on the all-new Sirius XM app.
If you love golf, then you should never turn off PGA Tour Radio. Hear from the biggest names in the sport.
Champion golfer of the year is Xander Schauffele.
I think best round of golf ever in my life.
Listen to special shows from people who love the game, like rock and roll legend Alice Cooper.
There's a putt, must be 90 feet long, and you make that putt.
And get help with your own game.
You'll get through your iron shots and have predictable distance.
It's all golf, all the time, on PGA Tour Radio, Channel 92 in the car, and on the Sirius XM app.
You love listening to baseball. You love talking about baseball, and so do we. That's why SiriusXM has the only channel on the radio dedicated to baseball 24/7. It's MLB Network Radio, SiriusXM Channel 89. News, opinions, passionate baseball talk from former players and GMs, plus interviews with players, managers, and executives, original specials, and much, much, much more. All baseball, every day, on your radio. If you can hear me right now, you've got MLB Network Radio, SiriusXM Channel 89, and on the SiriusXM app.
In season or out of season, the #1 place for college sports is SiriusXM College Sports Radio, Channel 84.
Radio Network.
Top of the 8th inning in downtown Toronto, and the Blue Jays and Cardinals are knotted up at 2. Series finale. Blue Jays have won the previous 2 games. I'm Ben Schulman alongside Ben Nicholson-Smith. Thanks for tuning in today. Top of the order for the Cardinals, and Genesis Cabrera deals low to Brendan Donovan, 1-0. Donovan 0 for 3 today, 2 strikeouts. Cabrera kicks and pitches and misses low again at 97, 2-0. Zach Pop is starting to loosen up for the Blue Jays. After 2 left-handed hitters in a row this inning for the Cardinals, it'll be a string of righties. 2-0. Swing and a foul off, 2-1.
It's interesting. We haven't seen Chad Green this series, and he is not up there now. Of course, the Blue Jays don't have a lead, and he has been used in that closer's role, but wonder if we do see him perhaps later in the game.
We didn't see him in the extra innings game on Friday, when traditionally a home team would use their closer because save situations are not coming in the extra innings. 2 1-pitch misses inside, 3-1. Cabrera set at his chest. And the 3-1 pitch. Hit foul off the end of the bat, full count. Genesis Cabrera got the last out of the 7th inning, getting Michael Ciani to fly out to left field. Left-hander in a full count to start the 8th. His 3-2. Low ball 4, a leadoff walk. This copyrighted broadcast is presented by authority of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership or the Sportsnet Radio Network. Interesting, after that walk, Pete Walker quick out of the dugout to go talk to Cabrera.
And they've got something to discuss here, as Paul Goldschmidt will enter the game as a pinch hitter for Alec Burleson. So that means that the Blue Jays lose the platoon advantage, and this is a really, really talented hitter, even though he is not up to his usual standard in 2024.
2022 National League MVP, twice a runner-up in the National League when he was a Diamondback as well. And Ollie Marmol knowing here, too, that Cabrera coming back out had to then complete the 3-batter minimum, so he had to face Goldschmidt. Cabrera looking in, delivers home. And Goldschmidt with a broken back grounder to short. Clement picks it up, throws to second one, back over to first, 1 pitch, and a double play. Maybe give Pete Walker a 5% raise. He comes out, and in 1 pitch, 2 outs for the Blue Jays.
Yeah, that was really nice work, and that might be the end of the day for Genesis Cabrera, but to induce that ground ball was really big, and I really liked the way Ernie Clement got rid of this ball so quickly. It took him toward the third base side, but he was able to unload really quickly and get this started.
John Schneider will take the baseball now. Zach Pop about to enter a tie ball game, 2-2. 2 outs, bases empty, top of the 8th. Let's go back to today's host. Here's Show Ali.
Thank you very much, Ben. Quick check of the St. Louis Bar and Grill out-of-town scoreboard. In the NHL, some games, the preseason getting started for real. in less than a week's time. I believe the preseason actually starts on Saturday. The regular season itself will begin at the beginning of October, but a variety of NHL prospect games this weekend across the league as training camp has wrapped up. The Leafs-Habs Rookie Showdown is going on right now. A lot of scores. Roney, McHugh, Fraser Minton was taken out of this game as a precautionary reason, but that Leafs-Habs game going on, Rookie Showdown in Montreal at the Bell Center right now. Across other areas of the world, the sports, some footy scores across the pond. Yesterday, some scores as well, including Man City beating Brentford 2-1, Man U beating Southampton 3-0, Nottingham Forest beating Liverpool 1-0 at Anfield, the first time Nottingham Forest has beaten Liverpool at home in 55 years. And in the North London Derby today, Arsenal blanking Tottenham 1-0, the final score. If we check on this side of the pond, American football scores, we say, the Patriots lead the Seahawks 20-17 with 4 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. The Saints still pummeling the Cowboys 41-19. The Ravens now lead the Raiders 23-13 with about 12 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Derrick Henry scoring a touchdown most recently for Baltimore there. The Giants now on top of the Commanders 18-15. Daniel Jones throwing a touchdown to Wan'Dale Robinson. The two-point conversion to Darius Slayton would fail, but Giants still ahead by a couple of points there. The Chargers ahead on the Panthers 26-3. The Colts trailing the Packers 16-3, though they are in the Green Bay 4-yard line with 2 minutes to go in that game, just after the 2-minute warning. The 49ers are trailing the Vikings 20-14, 6.5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, and the Browns lead the Jags 16-13. Blue Jays baseball brought to you by Crown Rust Protection. Back to the game. Here's Ben and Ben.
Thank you, Joe. Nolan Arenado up for the Cardinals. 2 out spaces empty. Top of the 8th. 2-2 ball game. Zach Pop's pitch. Arenado swings and misses wildly at a sinker, 0-1. Brampton-born Zach Pop making his 54th appearance of the season, 5.80 ERA. Right-hander set at the belt, kicks, and delivers to the plate. Fastball over the top of the zone for strike 2. That was the cutter that time rather than the more preferred sinker for Pop. Righty will mix in a slider as well, but it's 3/4 sinkers. His 0-2. Swinging a ground ball over the mound to the second baseman, Jimenez. Gloves, throws over to first, and ends the inning. Cabrera and Pop combined to face the minimum. Still tied at 2, though, as we go to the bottom of the 8th. De Los Santos, Servin, Lucas, 2 up for the Blue Jays. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Hi, I'm Buck Martinez, live from the showdown between Pizza and inflation. First to the plate, Pizza's big hitter, fixed rate pizza. An extra large 4-topping pizza for a fixed price of $17.99 until the end of 2024. I dare say, folks, inflation stands no chance against this all-star. Here's the delivery. And inflation strikes out. That's a swing and a drive for fixed rate pizza. Lock in yours today.
It's time to celebrate you with the party at the ballpark. On Friday, September 27th, dial up your fall wardrobe with the Blue Jays Fanal giveaway presented by TD.
They go back-to-back in the bottom of the 9th. How much fun was that? It is loud here at Rogers Center, and 40,000 are chanting his name.
Get ready for good vibes and a chance to win great prizes.
What a weekend for the Blue Jays.
Fan Appreciation Weekend, presented by TD, September 27th, 28th, and 29th. For tickets, visit BlueJays.com.
Ontario is helping you keep more of what's yours. We cut the gas tax and scrap the license plate sticker fee and drive clean program for most vehicles, saving drivers across the province hundreds of dollars each and every year. Learn more about how you're saving more at ontario.ca/keeping costs down. Paid for by the Government of Ontario.
New pitcher into the ballgame for the Cardinals, the bearded right-handed reliever, longtime Tampa Bay Ray, Andrew Kittredge, takes over for St. Louis. 2-2 ballgame, Blue Jays and Cardinals, bottom of the 8th. I'm Ben Schulman alongside Ben Nicholson-Smith. Thank you so much for tuning in today. First appearance of the series for Kittredge. He starts with Luis De Los Santos. Righty kicks and fires home. And he starts him off with a strike, 0-1. For Kittredge, he uses his slider about half of the time, but has a mid-90s fastball that he'll throw the other half. 0-1. Swing and a miss at another slider, 0-2. Right-hander does possess two types of fastballs, the sinker and the four-seamer, although the sinker is way more at the forefront. The four-seamer is sparingly used. 0-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3. 3 straight sliders, and it's a 3-pitch strikeout for Kittredge.
And on that last slider, Luis de los Santos looking overmatched, waving at that pitch from Kittredge, who's having a nice season, and it continued right there.
Kittredge traded to the Cardinals from the Rays in January. Richie Palacios went the other way. And now the Blue Jays are going to call on a pinch hitter, George Springer, up to the plate, and that's why there's a loud roar before this at-bat. Springer coming on to pinch hit in the spot of Brian Serven.
It's an interesting call here because, of course, with Serven out of the game, that means Alejandro Kirk will have to come into the game, and the Blue Jays could just simply pinch hit Kirk, but they want Springer, maybe thinking that he can change this game with one swing. Certainly has the potential to do that, and then Kirk will enter later, or they could pinch hit Kirk in a batter or two if they really wanted.
1 out, and the pitch to Springer. Swing and a miss, strike 1. Yeah, they could do kind of a fake double switch in a way if they wanted to and bring Kirk in the spot of someone else. But Springer now batting, sitting on 19 home runs this season. 2-2 game, 1 out, bottom 8, the 0-1. Downstairs, 1 ball, 1 strike.
Sometimes we see Springer get full days off when he starts the day on the bench, but clearly not the case today.
1-1. Down and in, 2-1. Springer taps the inside part of the plate. Looks out at Kittredge, the right-hander. 2-1 pitch. Swing and a liner. Headed to center. Down for a base hit. George Springer does the job coming off the bench. Is on base now representing the go-ahead run for the Blue Jays with 1 out in the bottom of the 8th.
It's a huge swing for George Springer. Finds a slider out over the plate and sends it into center field. Pinch hit, base hit. That gets the Jays started here in the 8th.
Wonder if they think about getting Springer on the move as well. He is the Blue Jays leader in stolen bases this year with 15. Kittredge peeks at him, leans back, and deals now to the lefty hitter Nathan Lucas. First pitch heater, strike 1.
Base runners have been successful against Kittredge this year, 10 for 10 when they choose to run against him.
Big lead for Springer at first. A turn and throw over by Kittredge. Springer dives back in. Kittredge now has the baseball back, nods for the side. And the 0-1. Swing and a liner, headed to left field. Down in fair territory, a base hit bouncing into the corner. Springer to third, he's getting away from Carlos Fabulous. George Springer to the plate, head first time, and the Blue Jays take a 3-2 lead. Nathan Lucas with an RBI double, and Toronto's back on top.
That is the second double to left field for Nathan Lucas today, a left-handed hitter who keeps finding the opposite field, and this one gives George Springer enough time to come sprinting around the bases and give the Blue Jays the lead.
For Nathan Lucas, his third double of the season, and like you said, second in this game. He's on second, and that's going to prompt a mound visit here as they go out to talk to Kittredge, who gave up the single to Springer and the double to Lucas to give up this tie game. Blue Jays lead for the second time in this ballgame.
And George Springer getting that wave home from Carlos Fabulous, who was swinging both arms, the double windmill to make sure that there was no room for interpretation. He wanted to send Springer home, and he scored easily.
Springer, who almost certainly gets lifted now for Alejandro Kirk to go into that spot, has a nice little cameo in the game. Comes in, gets a single. Lucas comes up with a double. He scores the go-ahead run, and probably his day is done.
That's a very productive 4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah. Always a possibility, by the way, that they keep him in some sort of defensive change. Maybe Addison Barger comes out, who was in right field to start, and Alejandro Kirk goes to catch and hit in Barger's spot. We'll just have to wait and see. But for now, the Blue Jays up 3-2 and still potential to add on more. Lucas at second, the pitch to Clement. Swing and a miss, strike one.
And we mentioned Chad Green before. It looks like he's up in the Blue Jays bullpen. We saw him throwing a little bit earlier.
He is throwing now. 2 guys throwing for the Cardinals. 0-1. Called strike, 0-2. Kittredge's pitch. Check swing by Clement. Pitch down and away. No appeal. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Ernie Clement 0 for 3 today. A strikeout, a flyout, and a pop out in foul territory. The 1-2. Swinging bunt in front of the plate. Herrera mask off. Fields it. The catcher throws to first for the out. Lucas up to third base. Now 2 down.
Really nice play by Herrera right there to scramble out. That was a half swing, an unintentional bunt by Ernie Clement. Herrera able to get to it quickly and make a strong and accurate throw to first base. That is not an easy play.
That's going to prompt Ollie Marmol to start walking up the stairs. And it looks like Marmol is going to come onto the field and make a pitching change and intentionally walk Herrera. 2 on, 2 out. Top of the 8th. Blue Jays up 3-2. Let's go to today's host. Here's Show Ali.
Thanks, guys. Let's check, or before we check the out-of-town scoreboard, brought to you by St. Louis Bar and Grill. Quick reminder that, of course, after every game we have Jays Talk. Nick Ashbourne is here at the Dome with me. He and I will take your calls and your texts. 590-590, name and locations where you can text us. That's the People's Text line. It's always open. There's a couple here already, so you can keep them coming. Standard data and messaging rates may apply. We'll throw out those numbers to call after this game is in the books. All right, let's check the out-of-town scoreboard, brought to you by St. Louis Bar and Grill. Major League Baseball scores all over. Of course, you remember the early final. Again, the Tigers thumping the Orioles 4-2. Riley Green with a home run, a 2-run bomb in the bottom of the 8th inning. They would hold on with a Jason Foley save in the top of the 9th. Detroit wins. Baltimore falls to 84-66. The Tigers now just 2 games, at least as at the conclusion of that game, out of the 3rd wild card spot, which is currently being held by the Minnesota Twins. Speaking of the Twins, they are currently leading the Reds 9-2, so perhaps the Tigers do not gain a game or a half a game after that win. But Twins up 9-2 on the Reds, top of the 9th inning. Top of the 9th inning in Washington, they are up. Nationals up 4-2 on the Marlins. Elsewhere, the Guardians up 2-0 on the Rays. The Red Sox trailing the Yankees 4-2 in New York. Top of the 7th inning in Pittsburgh at PNC Park. The Pirates up 4-3 on the Kansas City Royals. Chicago White Sox leading the A's 4-2 as well. Top of the 3rd inning, Chicago Cubs leading the Colorado Rockies 1-0. Some late games got started already across the major leagues. Texas and Seattle are tied at 0, as are the Astros and Angels. And, of course, still some games to come. The Padres and Giants will get going in about 10 minutes' time as well. At the same time, the Brewers and Diamondbacks will get going. And Sunday Night Baseball, as always, which you can listen to on the Sportsnet Radio Network, will be between the Dodgers and the Braves. In the NFL, a bunch of scores going on right now. A lot of these games just about to wrap up. Packers do hold on for a win over the Colts, 16-10. That's the final score there. The Chargers beat the Panthers 26-3. Right now, the Buccaneers leading the Lions 20-16, but in Detroit, the Lions are on the Tampa Bay 17-yard line. Blue Jays Baseball is brought to you by Crown Rust Protection. Back to the action here at the Rogers Center. Here's Ben and Ben.
Thank you, Show. First pitch from JoJo Romero to Spencer Horwitz, misses up and in, ball 1, and we're back underway in the bottom of the 8th. Blue Jays have jumped in front thanks to a Nathan Lucas RBI double. Lucas on third, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. on first after an intentional walk, 2 outs. Romero's pitch to Horwitz, called strike, 1-1. Ollie Marmol going to the lefty reliever here to get the platoon advantage on Horwitz. Romero making his 63rd appearance, 2.65 ERA in almost 58 innings. 1-1. Swinging a ground ball up the middle, fielded by the shortstop Sajazi, throws over to first and ends the inning. A run for the Blue Jays on 2 hits, 2 left. Toronto up 3-2 as we go to the 9th. Chad Green will come in looking for the save, and the Blue Jays look for the sweep. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Before your team takes the field, get game day ready anywhere, anytime with SiriusXM's Tailgating Anthems. A channel with songs to rock your pregame and amplify end zone celebrations. Tailgating Anthems, one of more than 200 extra channels always available on the SiriusXM app.
Every night after the final out, the Round Trip Roundup brings you the scores, highlights, and analysis from every game across Major League Baseball, all in less than 30 minutes.
Swung on and missed, strike 3 and a no-hitter.
It's the perfect way to get caught up on all the night's biggest home runs and best performances.
And a high drive, deep right center.
It's the Round Trip Roundup on MLB Network Radio every night on SiriusXM Channel 89 and every morning on the SiriusXM app.
The most important person in sports is you, the fan.
Let me tell you something. I'm a real fan.
And your place for sports talk is Mad Dog Sports Radio, where your voice is heard all day long.
I couldn't wait to get into the truck, turn on 82.
Sharing the thrill of victory.
The joy, the jubilation. I can't stop smiling.
And the agony of defeat.
When is this franchise going to realize people really care about this?
Passionate sports fans call 888 Mad Dog 6.
You gotta love sports.
Mad Dog Sports Radio, Channel 82, or anytime on the SiriusXM app.
The Blue Jays are in flight, leading 3-0.
Blue Jays fans, this is Ross Atkins, and you're listening to Blue Jays Baseball on Sirius XM.
At Radio Network.
Top of the 9th inning in downtown Toronto, and the Blue Jays 3 outs away from a sweep. 3-2, Toronto leads St. Louis. Chad Green, the Blue Jay closer, is into the game, looking to wrap this one up. He'll take on Lucan Baker, Lars Nootbaar, and Ivan Herrera, protecting a 3-2 Blue Jay lead. I'm Ben Schulman alongside Ben Nicholson-Smith. Green, who had saved 16 in a row to start the season on a streak of 3 blown in a row. Trying to reel it back in. New catcher with him, Alejandro Kirk. First pitch to Baker. Fastball for a strike, 0-1. Fastball slider is the mix for Green. Righty kicks and fires. And hits the zone with another fastball. It's 0-2.
It's been a rough stretch for Chad Green, but the Blue Jays showing faith in him by going to him in this situation.
0-2 pitch, slider down and away, ball 1. Kirk liked the spot.
We've heard from John Schneider his thoughts on Chad Green. He said, you know what? Sometimes in the course of a season, relievers will hit rough patches.
1-2 pitch, just off the plate outside with a slider, 2-2.
And I think in contrast to years past, even last year, you have a Jimmy Garcia, you have a Tim Meza, so many different alternatives. Of course, Romano was healthy.
2-2. Swinging a foul ball, still 2-2.
And this year, the Jays bullpen has clearly been a weak spot of the team, and Green has been probably their most consistent performer along with Genesis Cabrera, so they continue to show some faith in him right here.
2-2. Hit on a line to left field. That's going to get down for a base hit, bouncing toward the corner. Baker tearing it around first. He'll have to stop there as Schneider gets it back in quickly, but it is a leadoff single for the Cardinals.
And I wonder if looks like they will pinch run for Baker at first base to get some more speed.
I believe that's Jose Fermin who's entering the game now in the spot of Lucan Baker. It is Fermin who takes over at first base, representing the tying run here in the 9th. Lars Nootbaar up for the Cardinals, the pitch. Fastball strike, 0-1. De Los Santos in at third, watching a bunt. Blue Jays up 3-2, runner on first, nobody out, top of the 9th. Big lead from Fermin at first. And the 0-1. Check swing pitch was high. 1 ball, 1 strike. Almost 35,000 on hand today at Rogers Center. Turn and throw to first. Dive back from Fermin. Fermin again stretching out his lead at first. Green comes set. And it's 1-1 to Newpar. Called strike with the heater. He gets ahead 1-2.
96 on the fastball right there, so the velocity is where it should be for Chad Green.
Crowd getting loud, the 1-2. Foul tip, strike 3. Beat him with a 95-mile-per-hour fastball. There's 1 out.
It's a big out for Chad Green to get Newpar, who had already homered in this game.
Newpar's homer in the 7th inning tied it up before the Blue Jays took the lead back in the 8th. It's 3-2 Toronto. 1 out, runner on first, top of the 9th. And here's Ivan Herrera, the catcher. First pitch. Fastball for a strike. Herrera today with a single and a walk in 3 tries. Turn and throw to first, and back in standing is the base runner Fermin. Pinch runner for Lucan Baker, who had a single to start this inning.
We saw the Blue Jays effectively use their bench in the bottom of the 8th inning.
0-1. Just high, 1 ball, 1 strike.
And if the Cardinals want to, they can continue using their bench. They have the left-handed hitting Matt Carpenter as a veteran bat if they wanted to go there. Mason Wynn, their electric 22-year-old shortstop, is also on the bench.
1-1 pitch. Hit back foul, and Green ahead again, 1-2. We've seen them use Fermin running this inning and Paul Goldschmidt as a pinch hitter in the 7th inning, or make it in the 8th. One ball and 2 strikes. And the pitch. Outside at 97, 2-2.
Chad Green working on a couple of days rest here, but already up to 14 pitches.
His 2-2. Swing and a foul back into the netting, and a stumble by the catcher and hitter for the Cardinals right now, Ivan Herrera, who thought he should have got more of that 4-seamer upper middle of the zone.
Green challenging hitters in that upper part of the strike zone. That's a part of what he's intending to do, a part of his game plan. Doesn't want to let it drift too far toward the middle of the plate, but if he stays up where he has been, then that can be a recipe for some pop-ups or ideally some swing and miss.
His 2-2 in the dirt, ball 3. They'll deliver new baseballs to Phil Cuzzy. A ground ball could end this one with 1 out and a runner on first, but Green, like you said, lives up top. Not much of a ground ball pitcher.
Maybe on a nicely placed slider. We've seen the Blue Jays do it before.
Turn and throw over to first, and Fermin back with a dive.
One of the great defensive plays of this whole series came back in the 6th inning when Leo Jimenez and Ernie Clement combined on just a great double play.
The 3-2. Swing and a chopper to third. De Los Santos fields it foul, and they'll do it again. Fermin was hard charging to second. He goes back to first base. And back to the plate goes Herrera with 1 out.
That was a very close call, but De Los Santos fielding it just on the foul side of the third base bag.
Another 3-2. Hit in the air right field, going back. Barger has some space in front of the warning track. He'll make the catch, and there are 2 outs.
Earlier today, we saw Barger struggle a little more with some of the sun coming in from over third base toward the right fielder. This time he has a more comfortable read, a more comfortable approach on that ball, and makes the routine play for out number 2.
Cardinals down to their final chance. It's the rookie Thomas Saggese. 35,000 on their feet at Rogers Center as Green tucks the ball into his glove. Chad Green's pitch. Swing and a fly ball right side, foul, 0-1. Nathan Lucas and Davis Schneider with big hits today to propel the Blue Jays to their 3-2 lead. 2 outs, runner on first, the 0-1. Down and away, 1 ball, 1 strike. Horwitz still holding on for Mean at first, who takes his lead, the pinch runner. 1-1. Swing and a soft roller, first base side. Horwitz picks it up, goes to first, and it's safe. Safe is the call. A bobble and some miscommunication, and for now it's runners on first and second and an infield single for Saggese. Blue Jays are going to challenge.
Clearly the Jays need to take a look at this, but there was some indecision from Horwitz. He thought maybe that Green was going to get to that ball, but he ends up taking a while before deciding he has to take charge and make that entire play himself. This might end up being a safe call because Horwitz's foot seems to get down after Saggese hustles down the line to get there. And clearly a challenge the Jays have to make, but Horwitz, if he makes that decision right away to make that play himself, probably is able to get the runner.
Looking at the replay, I think he got in there. And that's going to keep this inning going.
The runner is safe.
So we'll keep going. Looked like Chad Green had snapped that streak and gotten the save that he wanted, but instead we continue. 2 on now, including the go-ahead run on first. 2 outs, top of the 9th. Jordan Walker up, who doubled in the first St. Louis run of the day.
And that's been scored a single. I mean, that ball needs to be an out. You hit it that softly to an infielder. The Blue Jays need to convert that into an out.
Green's pitch to Walker. Swing and a high pump up middle of the infield. Clement calling for it. He makes the catch, and the Blue Jays win the game. Toronto takes it 3-2, sweeps the series, their 5th sweep of the year, and they take a winning feeling onto the road trip. We are going to take a quick step aside and wrap it up on the other side. Blue Jays win 3-2. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Which Looney Dogger are you? The Fork and Knifer, Splatterer, Condiment Queen, or Big Dipper? This season at Rogers Center, every Tuesday home game is Looney Dogs Night, presented by Schneiders. You will have the opportunity to purchase $1 hot dogs from various concession stands around the stadium. Then show the world your Looney Dog style. Because whether you're the mustard maven or ketchup king, no Blue Jays game is complete without hot dogs. So don't miss out on this deal. Looney Dogs Night, presented by Schneiders, every Tuesday home game.
Hi, I'm Buck Martinez, live from the showdown between Pizza and inflation. First to the plate, with over 2 million sold, it's Fixed Rate Pizza, a hot and fresh extra-large 4-topping pizza for a fixed price of $17.99 until the end of 2024. Here's the delivery. And inflation strikes out. That's a swing and a drive for Fixed Rate Pizza. Lock in yours today.
Pizza.ca. At Crown Rust Control, protection runs deep because every Crown Rust Control Center is owned by a local family who cares beyond business. Your Crown Rust Control is 100% committed to their product, to you, to their community, which is your community. Protecting you and what matters to you is equally important as protecting your vehicle.
Did you know your vehicle rusts faster in warm weather? Protect your vehicle today. For a special summer offer, find your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center at crown.com.
We're 2 men in a truck. the movers who care. You never know when cardiac arrest can happen. That's why each and every one of our trucks carries a life-saving Mikey defibrillator as part of our Mikey on Board program. Whether we're on the highway or in front of your house, we're prepared to help anyone whose heart may skip a beat. The Mikey Network has saved many lives, making Mikeys accessible to the public. And now they're on board our trucks. We're 2 men in a truck.
2 men and a truck, the movers who care.
This is Toronto Blue Jays baseball.
They got him. Strike him out, throw him out, double play.
On Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Welcome back to Blue Jays Baseball on the Sportsnet Radio Network. The Blue Jays breaking out the brooms. A 3-2 win for the Jays as they sweep away the Cardinals on a beautiful day down here at the Rogers Center. I'm Show Ali. I'm here with Ben Nicholson-Smith. And Ben, as they sew up the dome here, as Nathan Lucas gets the water bath from Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Arden narrowly avoiding disaster down there, so that's good. He's wearing a lot of technology. But we put a bow on the series, of course, before we get over to Jays talk, and we have to talk about the play of the game. The bottom of the 8th inning, George Springer comes in to pinch hit for Brian Serven with 1 out. He immediately gets aboard with the RBI single, and Lucas, the bearded Nathan Lucas, coming up with a massive moment in this ballgame.
And the 0-1. Swing and a liner, headed to left field. Down in fair territory, a base hit bouncing into the corner. Springer to third, he's getting away from Carlos Fabulous. George Springer to the plate, head first dive, and the Blue Jays take a 3-2 lead. Nathan Lucas with an RBI double, and Toronto's back on top.
A big moment for Nathan Lucas right there, and a big moment for the Blue Jays in this series. They were not scoring a lot of runs against Miles Michaelis in the Cardinals bullpen, despite some underwhelming numbers from Michaelis. He was on today, so they needed every run they could get, and it took them a while, but finally in the 8th inning, they were able to break through with that pinch hit single from Springer, and then Lucas, the second opposite field double for him of the day to drive in Springer, scoring around third. A big hit for the Jays, and one that they really needed on a tightly contested pitcher's duel type of day.
Ben, before we go, how much time are you and Arden going to devote to Nathan Lucas on the next episode of At the Letters?
Well, that's a great question. That is a great question. Haven't mapped it out in detail yet.
That's fair.
But, I've been busy the last couple hours. But I do think that Arden really likes Nathan Lucas.
Oh, okay, all right.
So, I think that he has correctly identified that this is a player who hasn't gotten a lot of credit. Whether that's from the Blue Jays, whether that's from the fan base. But today, Nathan Lucas is getting credit, and that is very appropriate. Their leadoff hitter, their center fielder today, really came through in a big way, and nearly made a really nice catch out there as well. But certainly the offensive elements were there for Nathan Lucas.
Well, definitely I encourage everyone to take a listen to the next episode of At the Letters when it comes out this week. Ben, it's been a lot of fun sitting next to you here. I think I speak for Tom, for Ben Shulman as well, when I say it's always fun having you on the radio broadcast. I guess it's the last one for you this year, right? Only a handful of games left generally, but it's always fun having you, and I hope we do it again pretty soon.
Absolutely. It is a blast to be in here. Thank you, Show, and look forward to listening to Jay's Talk with you and Nick.
That is Ben Nicholson-Smith. He is the man, editor at Sportsnet.ca, writer for Sportsnet, and, of course, co-host of At the Letters. It's a day off for the Blue Jays tomorrow. They'll hit the road for the final road trip of the year on Tuesday. The team will be in Texas at Globe Life Field to take on the Rangers. I will have the pregame show, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 Pacific, on our flagship station, Sportsnet 590 The Fan, on Tuesday. And, of course, we'll join you all across the network at 8 Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific that day as well. Ben Shulman and Chris LaRue will have the call, as always. Don't go anywhere, though, because it's now time for the postgame show. Get your calls, get your texts ready. Jay's Talk starts right now. All right, Nick. Great way to wrap up this series. A 3-2 sweep for the Blue Jays over the Cardinals down here at the Rogers Center. A fantastic fashion for them in which to wrap up a 3-game series sweep. Always fun. I mentioned yesterday on Jay's Talk that This, of course, was the first series win for the Blue Jays since they swept away the Angels at the end of August. And, of course, the first series sweep since that series as well against the Angels. Great stuff all around. Yariel Rodriguez, not the deepest outing for him, certainly, but still pitched relatively well. The bullpen acquitted themselves well. Got a little dicey with Chad Green towards the end. Maybe some miscommunication towards the end of this game, but still he managed to close it out. And another big day for guys we've been talking about a lot lately, Davis Schneider and Nathan Lucas.
Yeah, there's a little bit of everything in this game, to be honest. It wasn't the most glamorous win by any stretch of the imagination, but you had a lot of different guys coming out of the bullpen, especially Chad Green, who'd had so much difficulty in recent games. Getting a save there was big for him. Davis Schneider, I don't know if you can say continuing to roll when we're talking about 2 games, but you know what? 2 great games in a row for him. Nathan Lucas, at the top of the lineup is not where you generally think he would live, but a fantastic game for him there. A couple of really impressive doubles the other way. I was impressed by how they were on different type of pitches too. There was sort of an inside-out double where he was fighting a pitch off, and then there was one where he was going with the pitch the other way. That was ultimately the game-winning hit. A lot of guys can be proud of their efforts in this one, even though it wasn't the splashiest, highest-scoring game.
That is Nick Ashbourne. I'm Show Ali. You're listening to Jays Talk live on the Sportsnet Radio Network. We're also streaming on sportsnet.ca and on the Sportsnet app. Give us a call, 416-870-0590, 1-888-666. 0590 star 590 on your cell. You can text us as well, 590-590. Name and location. The People's text line is always open. Standard messaging and data rates may apply. Before we go to the text line and the phones, chat a little Y-Rod, chat some more about Schneider and Lucas. Nick, just some quick housekeeping. I mentioned to you off the air, and I think I mentioned this during the game a couple times, but we did some giveaways yesterday, or a giveaway yesterday. I want to continue doing giveaways today because, we're towards the end of the season. There's only a handful of weekends left. There's next weekend, the Jays will be in Tampa at the Trop, and then next Saturday will be the final Jays Talk for myself, and then Blair and Barker will put a bow on the whole season next Sunday. So why don't we do some giveaways before we get to the end of the year? So some housekeeping. The winner of last night's giveaway was James in Coquitlam, BC. So congratulations to James. He grabbed the City Connect short sleeve hoodie. So I think we can give away some more stuff today. Why not, right? Got a whole cupboard full of stuff here at the Rogers Center. So here's what we got. We got the Bo Bichette bobblehead. There are 3 Carabana Blue Jays hats, if you so desire. And because today is Roberto Clemente Day across Major League Baseball, not obviously just here, but across all of baseball, I also found last year's giveaway that the Blue Jays had put out for Jose Barrios, because of course Barrios is of Puerto Rican descent, and it was the Barrios bobblehead where he's wearing number 21. So we'll give away 2 prizes today. Someone I'm sure will claim the Barrios bobblehead, and you can pick from the Bo bobblehead or those Carabana hats. So all you have to do to be entered into this draw to win is text us the answer to the trivia question again, 590-590, name and location. And again, for this, name and location are once again mandatory for the giveaway. So stick around, and we'll throw out that trivia question after the first, our only break of the program. But let's talk a little Yariel Rodriguez, all right, Nick? 4 1/3, 3 hits, 1 run, which was earned, 2 strikeouts, 1 walk, 62 pitches, 41 strikes. We'll see what John Schneider says when he gets asked about him now after this game, but they're being rightfully careful with him, and every time, and I can't imagine it's going to be any different today, but every time John Schneider speaks to the media, he goes out of his way to highlight the workload, right? That they're being very careful with the workload, and it's a fine line, they have to thread the needle, all these different metaphors that they're using. And I get it, right? It's a guy who has never pitched in Major League Baseball before this year ever, so they're clearly trying to limit his workload to a certain extent, be a little careful with him. I have been critical of that at times, but you know what? He'd struggled a little bit down the stretch. Maybe some of that was fatigue related. Maybe some of that's the book is a little more out on him after never having pitched in Major League Baseball before. But today, I don't know, a good outing for Y-Rod. He's nearing, I think, 100 innings pitched after today's 4 1/3. So I have to imagine this is just a really slow build-up for him in what is his first professional MLB season.
You have to grade his starts on a different curve than you would for a normal starter, because if he wasn't in the workload situation he's in, he would have pushed further into this game, right? He only threw 62 pitches. He clearly was relatively effective even at the time he came out of the game. But as you said, he's approaching 100 innings. That's an important milestone for him, to be honest. We're talking about a guy who last season barely pitched at all. He pitched at the World Baseball Classic. That was pretty much it. The season before, he pitched, I believe, was just over 50 innings as a reliever in Japan. So he could potentially have about twice his workload from the previous 2 years combined this season. And they want to do that. They want to push him that way because they will see him as a starter, potentially a guy in the rotation for years to come. He may end up being a reliever. We'll see what happens with him, but they want to at least give him that opportunity.
Right.
And to do that, they need to bring his workload up so he's ready to take a start, every fifth day next season potentially. And they don't want this to be the case next year, right? They don't want it to be where he's pitching, 4 innings even when he's pitching well, or 3 innings in starts. They want him to serve as a more traditional starter. And for that to happen, you have to kind of lay this foundation of workload. And that's what 2024 has been about. In this outing, he gave you as much as he kind of possibly could, given that his pitch count was so limited. I think the velocity is still not where it was at his best parts of the season, but the slider was really good. He's thrown the slider a ton in his last couple of starts. In his last 3 outings, they're all in the top 4 for slider rate on the season, so there's a bit of an adjustment there that's interesting. I think that's potentially his best pitch right now, especially with the fastball just a little bit slower than we've seen. But, yeah, you have to be happy with him, and you have to realize that he's just not pitching the same way that a Bassett, a Barrios, the other guys are. He's doing a different thing right now, and I think last couple of outings he's doing it fairly well.
So, 12 games to go in the season. If we accept the way the off days fall, there's one tomorrow, obviously. There's one the final week of the regular season. So if we accept there are 12 games with 2 off days in there, it'll mean some guys get more starts than others, obviously, because just the way the days fall. But let's just say 2 more starts for Yariel Rodriguez between now and the end of the season. What do you think you're looking for from Yariel Rodriguez? If your goal is, whether it's you personally, Nick, or the Blue Jays when I say you, what do you think people are looking for from Yariel Rodriguez when we get to these last 2 starts? Because I often wonder, we talk about sample size all the time, and obviously the sample size for Yariel is obviously a little bigger because he's pitched for a good chunk of the season, even counting the IL stint. But in a general sense, when you think about what Yariel Rodriguez has done and can do, it's funny to think that the conversation about, let's say, Rodriguez and Francis is somewhat flipped, right? Because around Canada Day, I would have said, there's no chance Bowden Francis in the rotation next year, while there is every chance Yariel Rodriguez is. And now I think those conversations have been completely flipped on their sides. Now you're saying, Bowden Francis is absolutely in the rotation next year, and then the jury's still out on Yariel Rodriguez. Is there something you're looking for in these next 2 starts, maybe something you saw today that you could continue, whether it's the slider, the usage of that pitch, or any other pitch, for example, whatever you want, really, that you're looking for that you might use as an answer to say, yeah, you know what, I feel all right if they don't sign a 5th starter and they just give that role to Yrod next year?
It's difficult because, again, the fatigue is a factor and the velocity is down, so I think it's kind of impossible to see the best of Yariel Rodriguez right now. You're kind of seeing him coping in a situation that's not ideal, to be frank, in terms of the way he's pushing himself. Again, that's for a purpose. It's to lay this foundation for next year. So instead of looking for him to be overpowering, because I don't think he has his most overpowering stuff, I'm more interested in control and command. Is he pitching to the corners? Is he getting some soft contact? Because we know the best version of him that's got, the 95-mile-an-hour fastball and the hard slider is probably going to be able to get some strikeouts. Probably more than we've seen over the last couple of outings. So I'm not so much worried about that. I'd like to see, again, can he paint the corners a little bit? Can he force some soft contact? He did a really good job in this game, to be honest, of forcing the soft contact. I believe that the exit velocity he had against in this game, it was under 80 miles per hour, 77.8 miles per hour. Again, it's a small sample, it's 1 game. But just to give you guys a little bit of context on that, the league leader for the least exit velocity against for a pitcher in the entire majors this year is 81.5 miles per hour. So if you're under 80 in any outing, You're doing a really good job of making sure the opponents have soft contact. That's something to watch with him. I'd say pay attention to that and then look at the walk rate and if he's able to just consistently throw strikes, even if his stuff isn't as overpowering as it might be.
590, name and location, that's the text line. Standard data and messaging rates may apply. The People's Text line, of course, always open. 416-870-0590, 1-888-660-0590, star 590 on your cell. Let's go to the text line before we go to the phones. Let's see here. This one's from Dave in Kingston. Nick and David says, I'm so happy Davis Schneider has found his stroke. I love it when he is banging balls all over. And I've thought for a long time Nathan Lucas deserves to be with the big club. He does so much very well. Love your show, guys. Hey, appreciate the kind words, Dave. So let's talk about Davis Schneider and Nathan Lucas. So Schneider bangs the 2-run home run today, second bomb in as many days. I get it with you. Like I think it has to be. I'm going to say 3 games or more for you to say he's on a roll. But you know what? If he does it on Tuesday or even Wednesday, I think I'd feel comfortable saying it. But and I know that it's probably a lot easier to say that someone gets on a roll than it is to say, oh, this is now a slump. Mainly because mini slumps, extended slumps. There's a lot of ways to describe it when you're writing it or saying it out loud. But great stuff from Schneider on the home run. Michaelis, he just hung that sinker. Like he hung the sinker like right in the middle of the zone. Schneider gets the barrel on it. He obliterates that ball for a 2-run shot. And you know what? I mean, if he's getting any sense of timing back, the Jays will absolutely take it. Because it just seemed, every time he was at the plate, it seemed like he was either way out in front or way late. And guys just kept challenging him up in the zone, and we know he has admitted as much that's a big I don't want to say problem, but that's a big weakness of his. And it just didn't really seem like the timing ever really returned. But hey, I mean, 3 hits yesterday, including a home run yesterday, the 2-run bomb today. He's looked better. Obviously, you need to see him do it a little bit more, but it reminds you of what the potential is for Schneider when things are going right for him.
The bar is also so low in terms of what he's done over the last few months that it doesn't take that long for us to be really encouraged by what we're seeing, because it's such a stark contrast from basically everything he's done since June, to be honest. Like, we're looking at a multi-hit game here. Again, that's something that happens for guys relatively consistently, in theory. But he didn't have a multi-hit game between July 22nd and September 13th. That's nearly a 2-month span. Again, the level of slump that he was in was so profound. And then this game, we saw a home run from him that was more the classic vintage, like him turning on a ball and really hitting. It was 413 feet. That was the second longest hit he's had all season. And then in the previous game yesterday, he had the one going to the opposite field. So, yeah, is Davis Schneider fixed? We don't know. What does his role look like next year? TBD. There's a lot of uncertainty associated with him, but I think, again, this is unscientific. You'll never be able to measure it, but from just a confidence perspective, I think it'd mean a lot to him to be able to end the season on a positive note, and it looks like this series here is giving him the ability to do that a little bit.
Yeah, he has played better, certainly in the last couple days, but the thing too is, you often hear veterans talk about, and I know Schneider is not really a veteran in the sense that he's not a rookie, I suppose, but he's not a veteran in the sense that he hasn't been around for ages and ages, like George Springer, for example. But you just hear from all sorts of athletes, not even just a baseball thing, but you hear from all sorts of athletes across many sports that, the way to get out of slumps is to keep playing. And it just, the Blue Jays seem to subscribe to that because he did keep playing, right? He kept playing and he kept playing. It didn't seem like it got any better. And finally, if there is something there when it comes to him regaining some sense of self, some sense of timing, like you said, there's no way to really quantify that beyond just seeing him go out and continue to produce, after today. But, it's interesting because if, let's say, Dalton Varsho, Nick, continues to not play. Varsho has not played since, I believe, Tuesday. So if he continues to not play, dealing with some kind of shoulder issue, if Joey Loperfido, who suffered the injury yesterday, also does not play because of the adductor injury, then you have to think that certainly Addison Barger, as he did today, will see more time in the outfield. Nathan Lucas, it's good. We'll talk about Nathan Lucas in a second, but it's good that Nathan Lucas is playing better because they're going to need him. But, I mean, you're going to see more of that when it comes to the fourth outfielder role. You're going to see Davis Schneider in left field or at second base if they want to reconfigure the outfield in some way, shape, or form with the guys I mentioned. Like, you're going to see more of Davis Schneider, whether you like it or not. So it's definitely a good thing that he's starting to pick things back up here.
Yeah, the way the roster is constructed, too, you have a lot of these left-handed hitters between Horwitz and Wagner and Loperfido and Lucas. So he already has a way into the lineup organically whenever they're facing a southpaw. And then you layer that injury on top of it in terms of Varsho, and we don't really know where Loperfido is going there as well. There's always been a level of belief in this guy. There's a reason why he was so successful at AAA and in the majors last year and for the first couple months of the season. I know that it has been such a rough go for him for much of the year, but to be honest, it's a weird sport. And sometimes guys just have these really rough off seasons, even guys with a lot of talent. I'm not saying he's necessarily an everyday player for them going forward, but there is something there. Guys who have his eye at the plate when he's going and his power are not necessarily easy to come by. And so I know a lot of fans want to see him get sent down, and if the Blue Jays had been competitive, I'm sure he would have been, because they would have absolutely needed someone who would give them more reliable production. But it's possible here that if he ends the season relatively well, they'll be rewarded for the patience they've had with him, and then we'll see where it goes in 2025.
Nathan Lucas also delivering what ends up as the game-winning run in the bottom of the 8th inning. So I think it was a strikeout for Luis de los Santos in the bottom of the 8th. The 9 batter comes up. It's Brian Servin's spot in the order, and they pinch hit George Springer. So George Springer gets in there. He immediately delivers a hit, and then Nathan Lucas comes up and blasts one right down the line. Springer gets on his horse. Febles did not, with a double windmill, not even just one windmill, did not want to be misconstrued, sends Springer, and he scores on the slide at home plate on his stomach, and the Blue Jays take the 3-2 lead on the Nathan Lucas RBI double. Great stuff from Nathan Lucas, just generally speaking, Nathan Lucas, and again, what has been a relatively small sample, but Nathan Lucas looking pretty darn good, all things considered. And again, he was a prospect in the sense that he had not played a lot for the Blue Jays this year. Obviously, prior to getting called up, he had not played at all. He was with the team, maybe a better way of saying it, for a good chunk of last year, although he did not play a lot with the Blue Jays. But I mean, it's too bad that he didn't get to play more recently, if only because, he's, like you mentioned earlier, he's a lefty bat. At the beginning of the season, when you're looking at an outfield that was Varsho, Kiermaier, and Springer, and it kind of made it tough to have a lefty bat along with lefty bats in Varsho and Kiermaier. So he kind of got squeezed by an unfortunate circumstance, unfortunately. But I think he is proving that he, if you were to trade Nathan Lucas, or if you were to give him more opportunity at the very least, he is worthy of a major league spot. He has been playing very well, and you want to see him do it over the course of a much larger sample size. But I can't help but think that if Nathan Lucas was the 4th outfielder on a really good team, could Nathan Lucas be the 4th outfielder for the Phillies or the Braves? I mean, probably, right? Can Nathan Lucas be a starting outfielder for a team that has some holes, like some of the more unfortunate teams like the A's and the Rockies and the Marlins and the White Sox? Probably. But at the same time, he has acquitted himself very, very well. And maybe there's a chance he finds himself the 4th outfielder on the Blue Jays next year if things break right for him. It seems like the edge would go to Loperfido and Schneider just because they're younger. But he's played really well.
Yeah, he's got that kind of scrappy skill set I think a lot of fans like to glom onto, especially in this city for whatever reason. He's got a bit of a blue-collar skill set.
It's the beard, Nick.
It's the beard. He gives me a little bit of, lefty Reed Johnson vibes where, he comes to the major leagues a little bit later. More of a corner outfielder, but can play center, doesn't strike out a ton, takes his walks, hits the ball around the ballpark. That comp is maybe a little bit generous, to be honest, but that's the type of thing you're looking at. And, he probably don't want him playing a ton of center field. No, he's not going to hit for a ton of power or steal a lot of bases. But as you mentioned, he's sort of an MLB caliber guy, and those players aren't necessarily easy to come by. And he gives you, the proverbial professional at bat, right? He doesn't throw away his at bats very often. He generally is putting the ball in play. Good things happen when you put the ball in play. He's pretty reliable in the field. Again, do you want him to be your everyday center fielder? Probably not, but he can fill in like he filled in today. He's got this nifty all-around skill set that I don't think is ever going to truly impress people. He's not going to be a franchise building block, but as you say, he's starting to show that he can do something at this level.
416-870-0590, 1-888-666-0590, star 590 on your cell. Let's go to the phone. Let's go to Guelph. Rob joining us from Guelph here in Jays Talk. Rob, what's up?
How's it going today?
Good, man. What do you want to talk about?
I'd like to make a quick comment first about all the young kids, and I think the proof is in the pudding. I think the floor is everyday or part-time players, and the ceiling is everyday players. You think about the Johnny Macs and the Espinals. I think the kids are there. The second comment I'd like to quickly make was about in the 5th inning, I think, against the 9th batter with Yarborough pitching, he got a makeup call. And the batter did not question it because he knew it was a makeup call. So I think there's something beautiful about every umpire having a different strike zone. So I am against robot umpires, and I think I might be in the minority. And last, where do you stand on Yarbrough after seeing him destroy the Jays all these years from the Rays? I think we should go after him. Anyways, I'll hang up and let you talk. Thanks.
Hey, Rob, appreciate the call, man. There's for sure, Nick, a spot for Yarbrough in the Blue Jays bullpen next year. And again, you know what's funny? Yarbrough is one of those guys who, maybe it's just because of the stuff in terms of velo that he throws, but if you were like, how old is Ryan Yarbrough? I'd be like, I don't know, like he's 39, right? He's actually not that old. I think he's 32. He's not that old, all things considered, which is kind of funny. But Yarbrough is just one of those guys who, like Rob mentions, I mean, he has essentially made a career of lulling batters to sleep for his entire outing. And yeah, he ran into a little bit of trouble today, but I mean, on the balance of his entire relatively short Blue Jays tenure, to get Yarbrough for Kiermaier, considering the Blue Jays put Kiermaier on waivers, Yarbrough has actually been a pretty valuable addition to this bullpen. I think he probably will get paid more than I think the Blue Jays would be comfortable with, given that they have to rebuild the entire bullpen. But if it's like a relatively reasonable amount, I see no reason why he can't come back and be a part of the bullpen next year.
He's a really valuable player, to be honest. He's not like a high rent player. He's not a high leverage player. I don't think he's going to command that much money. Traditionally, he hasn't. It's partly because he doesn't strike guys out, because he doesn't throw hard at all. That's an understatement, in fact. And so he relies on his defense to a degree. So you have to feel like you have a pretty competent defense behind him to get the most out of him. The Blue Jays absolutely do, so I don't see that as an issue. Like, he entered this game among all relievers in the major leagues with the most innings pitched, 87.1 innings pitched. Prior to this game, pitched another 1.2 in this game.
He must have been pitching a lot for the Dodgers this year.
Well, I mean, he also just, when he pitches in these bulk outings, right? True. And so there aren't a lot of guys in the big leagues who are relievers that will approach 100 innings, and he can do that for you. He's got the rubber arm for it, as I like to say. So, again, is he someone who they're going to absolutely prioritize and be furious if some other team, outbids them for him? Probably not. But at the end of the day, he can give you quite a few innings at a respectable clip. He can help provide some insulation against starters who are inconsistent or just unable to pitch deep into games. He's a nifty player. I don't think he would cost a ton. There'll be a market for him. I'll be interested to see how hard the Blue Jays go after him because, as you say, the bullpen is wide open, and there could absolutely be a spot for him if they want to make one there.
I just can't help but think with Yarbrough, Nick, that, again, when it comes to reconstructing virtually the entire bullpen, like certainly there are spots that are probably spoken for because of contracts and so on. Chad Green, Cabrera, I'm going to say Romano, but I mean, that's not necessarily a given because he's making a fair bit of cash this coming off season. But let's just say, for the sake of this conversation, Romano's in that conversation, in that spot rather. Let's say I'm going to put Swanson in that conversation just for now. He has looked better in the last little while. So that's 4 names, right? Like, is anyone really beyond those 4 guys slam dunk locks for the 2025 bullpen? Like, probably not.
I think Little is not a slam dunk, but I'd list him as probable.
Yes,
I think it's likely because he'll be cheap, and he's shown them something as a left-handed ground ball. Like, he's given them a little bit of Tim Mesa, to be honest. Yeah. And that's a bit lofty for what you can expect from him, but I think he's someone who's likely to come in because I think spending money on someone who'd be only marginally better might not be the best use of resources.
No, I'm with you. And again, like to your point about Yarbrough, I don't think he's going to cost a whole hell of a lot. 590, name and location. Let's go back to the text line. Arthur in Toronto texts in at 590 to say, hey guys, people keep saying this period is an extended tryout for the minor leaguers. Well, who are your pick or picks for who's on the roster next year? And I suppose he means of the minor leaguers. And I was like, there's a similar text. Oh, here it is, from Anthony in Oshawa. Out of those guys currently on the roster, some of them are likely going to be moved. Who are the ones you most want to keep? And then he lists some here. So Wagner, Loperfido, Horwitz, Class A, Jonathan Class A, Barger, Schneider, or Elvis for the sake of the exercise. It's tough. I admit it's tough for me to judge Jonathan Class A just because we haven't seen him, so I think I'll leave him out of there for now. Schneider certainly looks like he's kind of sort of turning it around, but you want to see him do it in a larger sample size. I don't see actually on this list Clement or Jimenez, and I'm by no means advocating to trade them. I think they would at least be a part of that conversation when it comes to all the guys who are occupying a variety of these conversations. But I do wonder, I admit, about Barger and Horwitz in particular. Horwitz, I think, if you're making no other moves anywhere else, I think Horwitz is on the team next year, but I can't help but also think at this point in the season, because the second base experiment for Horwitz seems to be over. And I mean, like today, it was Jimenez who got the start at second base. We've seen Wagner get starts at second base. We've seen Clement get starts at second base. Like those three guys, Jimenez, Clement, and Schneider certainly as well, actually, and Will Wagner. All four of them are guys that are going to be part of that solution in some way, shape, or form. But because they have just seemed to just backed off completely on Horwitz's role at second, I do kind of wonder what their plan is for him. Like, is it only as the backup first baseman, backup DH? Because I got to think that, let's say Vladdy is moved to third next year. Let's just say, right? Like, and he'll probably still play a good chunk of time at first base. Anyway, if Vladdy is moving to third, I don't think you'd be that satisfied if you're putting Horwitz as your, like, everyday first baseman. I mean, I think you'd be satisfied if it was like Pete Alonso or something, but if it was Spencer Horwitz, I'm not so sure, right? So, and I say this as someone who's a pretty big fan of Spencer Horwitz. So, what is the role for him next year? I'm not sure. He punishes righties, but does not hit particularly well against lefties.
When he was playing second base consistently, and you could envision him as at least the strong side of a second base platoon, it was very easy to kind of pencil Horwitz in for the future. Things have gotten murkier for sure with him playing first base, first base / DH a little bit more recently. He still has hit righties well enough probably to justify that spot, but as you say, it sort of depends what else you do. With a lot of these guys, I think it's worth remembering that you can send them back down to the minor leagues and have them serve as depth if required. Like the guys who don't have options are Ernie Clement and Leo Jimenez. So I would expect to see those guys. It's a little bit tricky because you could argue there's some redundant skill sets there with them being middle infielders who both hit right. So we'll see how that goes. What I mean to say is there's not urgency to get these guys out of the organization, right, even if they don't necessarily fit next year's lineup with the people brought in. So you might see some of these guys take a Lo Perfido, for instance. You might not see him on the big league roster, at least initially, but he is there and he is in the minors. He is working. So I don't think there is necessarily urgency to move these guys out, even if they don't fit initially. There's always injuries. There's always surprises. It's good to have quality sitting there at AAA. Some of them may get dealt because often teams do want guys who are close to the big leagues, and these guys have proven it to some degree. So I don't know. It kind of depends. Who are you high on? Who are you less high on? Personally, I like what I've seen from Addison Barger from a tools perspective, the power, the arm, the athleticism. He's become more interesting to me over the course of the year. He feels like a keeper, and I'm a little bit less high on some of the other guys, like Will Wagner is kind of the opposite. He's not very toolsy, right, so he really has to produce to justify his spot. I think the big picture idea, though, is that you don't necessarily need to move guys out or make room for guys because you can keep most of them in the organization if you have to.
Jim from Waterloo texts in to say, do you think it's a done deal that Bichette is gone either in the offseason or next year? There is such little chatter about him for what was considered a building block for several years. Seems like he does not want to be in Toronto. Thanks. Well, I will say, in case you haven't heard, maybe Jim just hadn't seen this, but Bo did, prior to his rehab assignment, did speak to Sportsnet's Shai Davidi, and I'm paraphrasing here just because I don't have the quote in front of me, but he basically said he wants to play in Toronto forever and wants to win a championship with Vladdy. He wants to stay here, and he went out of his way to, I think, make that as clear as humanly possible. Now, you can make the argument, and I will hair some of this, that Bo is operating in his own self-interest, and like most athletes do, and kind of like when Vladdy, for years he always goes out and says, I hate the Yankees, like bleep the Yankees, I never want to play for them. And then earlier, was it this year, he kind of walked it back to a certain extent and be like, oh, I'd actually be open to playing for any franchise. Yeah, that screamed to me of his agent saying, hey, stop poo-pooing other teams. Stop it, right? You never know what happens, but I still think that's the case for Vladdy wants to stay here. I think it would, there was some degree of tea leave reading that even I had done on this program, Nick, a couple of times when it comes to trying to, discern the intentions of one Bo Bichette, but he was pretty clear to Shai that he wants to stay here. I do think that for me, no matter what happens to the rest of the season, I don't think he played today in the Buffalo game. I gotta go see. The game is over, so in the break I'll check and we'll take a look at that at Bo's box scores. But he did have a couple of a pair of RBIs over the past couple of games, and when he was DHing for Buffalo and then at shortstop yesterday. So all things considered, Bo has played. You're seeing the results you want to see from him in the rehab stint, but I think for me, Nick, he probably starts the year as the shortstop of the Toronto Blue Jays at this point. Like, I know there was that Bob Nightingale report that we talked about a couple of weeks ago that said Bo, the Blue Jays are going to try and trade Bo, but barring like some deal that blows your socks off, even if he plays really well for the rest of the year, starting, let's say, Tuesday, if that's what happens, like, I can't imagine him, a healthy Bo Bichette, not being the starting shortstop for the team in 2025.
It's hard to envision them getting great value for him in a trade in the offseason, just because this has been such a challenging year for him, both in terms of injuries and in terms of performance. You go to the market, you try and make a Bo Bichette trade, I think you're going to be disappointed with the offers you receive. So it seems to make more sense to have him as the starting shortstop. You're hoping your season goes well, and he's a big part of that success. And if it doesn't, maybe you trade him at the deadline. The only risk is that he's terrible and the team is terrible, right, and then you get nothing of value. I think that's a risk they'd be willing to take. In terms of his intention to stay in the city, Show, you are wise to bring up the self-interest angle. It's certainly, you don't want to negotiate against yourself. You don't want to close doors. There's a PR thing, too. I think a lot of players, as they approach free agency, express a desire to stay where they are because they don't want to be the bad guy. They don't want to be they want the team to be the bad guy. So if they leave, they can say, oh, I wanted to be there, but the team was the one who didn't pony up for a reasonable contract. And so there's a little bit of that. When it comes to the way he actually feels, again, this is speculation. I do believe that his best case scenario is, I would like to play with the Blue Jays and Vladdy and kind of complete this journey together. And we both win championships and we have amazing success and maybe, become franchise legends and Hall of Famers and all that jazz. The question for him is probably going to be how practical he believes that is. If he gets to a point where he just doesn't think that this version of Blue Jays is going to be very successful, it seems like he's very motivated by team success. And so he might decide that another team, like the Dodgers that he was consistently rumored to go to during the season, like he might decide another team gives him a better chance of having that success that he's desperate for. But that's only one side of the equation. The Blue Jays need to want to have him back on a massive contract as well to make it all work. So I think all along we've been saying that it would probably be a surprise to see Bo return on a master extension with the Blue Jays because there's a lot of things that might prevent that from happening, including a huge Vladdy deal, to be honest.
Sure.
It's not out of the question. I don't think it's nearly as bad a relationship as it's been presented at times, but by the same token, I would be surprised if he returns to the Blue Jays beyond 2025.
The thing, too, I'm sure this is a part of what Bo's camp is looking at, but let's say Willy Adames, and I don't think, if Bo is the starting shortstop of this team next year, I'm almost certain Willy Adames is not going to be a Blue Jay at all, but regardless of where Adames goes, I only bring him up because obviously he's a shortstop and is the top shortstop on the market this coming offseason. Willy Adames is about to get paid, Nick. Like, he's going to get paid a boatload of cash, and I'm guessing probably in the $300 million range. Like, he's going to get paid a lot of money, and you got to believe that Bo's camp is looking very intently at what Willy Adames is going to make, because it's like whatever Willy Adames gets, that's the number you start at for Bo. So I am very curious as to what it's going to look like, because you look at all the shortstop deals. It's kind of like shortstop deals in Major League Baseball kind of remind me, like, to a certain extent, like the comparison only goes so far, but to like starting quarterback deals in the NFL, just because, is like Jordan Love really worth $55 million a year? Like, probably not. But is Tua Tagovailoa really worth? And even before the concussion the other night, but is he really worth like $50+ million a year? Again, like, probably not. A lot of these quarterbacks, like not named Patrick Mahomes, are probably not. If we're being honest, but that's the cost of doing business if you want to keep or acquire one of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League. And I think it's like kind of the same with shortstops. Like, that's kind of like the cost of doing business when you want to acquire an Adames, or certainly if Bo hits free agency, a Bo Bichette.
And the thing that Bo has going for him is youth. After next season, he'll still only be 27 years old. When we talk about the free agent market, we are consistently talking about players 29, 30, 31, sometimes even older if they are late to make their MLB debut. We know Bichette came up at an early age and he stayed at the major league level, which affected his service time. Instead of a lot of players end up getting sent back down and then their free agency gets pushed back.
Right.
Well, like Vladdy, he came up and he was basically awesome from day one. And other than this year, he's been extremely consistent. Finding a shortstop who's way above average defensively, like a star-level player like Bichette, and it is weird to characterize him like that because of what we've seen this season that was such a departure from that norm. But a star-level shortstop is not easy to come by, and you have to pay a ton of money to get these guys at premium positions, shortstop, catcher, center field, who are also difference makers offensively. They are unbelievably difficult to come by. And then you add his youth into the equation, and he's really set up to do well in free agency unless he has a disastrous 2025 that makes people think that there's a new norm for him.
590-590 is the text line. That's where you can shoot us a message on the People's text line. Name and location, please. 416-870-0590, 1-888-666-0590, star 590 on your cell. Let's take a quick break here, Nick. And when we come back, we'll go back to the phones, back to the text line as well, and we'll throw out that trivia question for everyone so they can win if they get the question right. Of course, you have to text the answer to 590-590. We'll throw out that trivia question for the Jose Barrios bobblehead, the Bo Bichette bobblehead, the Caravana hats, whole bunch of stuff for us to give away these next couple of weeks as the season winds down. That's Nick Ashbourne. I'm Show Ali. Once again, you're listening to Jays Talk on the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Timber Mart is Canada's building center, a solid neighbor to call upon when you've got a job to do. Your dependable home improvement store that offers the added value of Air Miles reward miles with every purchase of $15 or more. Visit timbermart.ca.
This October on Sportsnet.
Did you see that?
Be here for a brand new season. For rivalries. Be here for superstars. Because once the action starts, here we go. The excitement is here to stay. October 8th, the puck drops here.
Are you ready? Sportsnet, here for hockey.
We're 2menintruck.ca. We've got lots of men and lots of trucks, so get ready to be moved.
Think 2menintruck.ca. So when you gotta move, all moving day. Think 2menintruck.ca. Cause all of us movers are not the same. So that's our company name, 2menintruck.ca. We're lots of men with lots of trucks, so give us a call today.
At Crown Rust Control Center, protection runs deep because every Crown Rust Control Center is owned by a local family who cares beyond business. Your Crown Rust Control Center is 100% committed to their product, to you, to their community, which is your community. Protecting you and what matters to you is equally important as protecting your vehicle. Did you know your vehicle rusts faster in warm weather? Protect your vehicle today. For a special summer offer, find your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center at crown.com.
It's time to celebrate you with the party at the ballpark. On Friday, September 27th, dial up your fall wardrobe with the Blue Jays Fanal giveaway presented by TD.
They go back-to-back in the bottom of the ninth. How much fun was that? It is loud here at Rogers Center, and 40,000 are chanting his name.
Get ready for good vibes and a chance to win great prizes.
What a weekend with the Blue Jays.
Fan Appreciation Weekend, presented by TD, September 27th, 28th, and 29th. For tickets, visit BlueJays.com.
Hi, I'm Buck Martinez, live from the showdown between Pizza and inflation. First to the plate, Pizza's big hitter, fixed rate pizza. An extra large 4-topping pizza for a fixed price of $17.99 until the end of 2024. I dare say, folks, inflation stands no chance against this all-star. Here's the delivery. And inflation strikes out. That's a swing and a drive for fixed rate pizza. Lock in yours today.
Order pizza.ca. Timber Mart always has plans to help you with your plans. Your home, your cottage, your garage, whatever needs your attention first, check the most visited spot on our website for ready-to-order plans to get the job done with Canada's Building Center. Visit timbermart.ca.
This is Toronto Blue Jays baseball.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. Got him to chase the back foot slider. That's a strikeout for Pop.
On Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Cabrera looking in, delivers home. And Goldschmidt with a broken back grounder to short. Clement picks it up, throws to second one, back over to first, one pitch, and a double play. Maybe give Pete Walker a 5% raise. He comes out and in one pitch, 2 outs for the Blue Jays.
Pete Walker special mound visit right there, you know. Yeah, that's huge. You know, you get arguably their best hitter coming in a big spot, and to get a double play first pitch is awesome. I know it's his former team, so, emotions are high for him usually, but I think especially against these guys. So, big spot, and he executed really well.
That is John Schneider alongside the voice of Ben Schulman as Genesis Cabrera uses the cutter to induce the double play in the 8th inning on one Paul Goldschmidt, who, of course, that's one heck of a pinch hitter you can bring in late into a game when it comes to Paul Goldschmidt. But Blue Jays do use that double play and a whole host of other terrific plays today to complete the sweep. 3-2, they beat the Cardinals, again, to sweep away things in a 3-game series before they head on the road later on Tuesday. I'm Show Ali. That's Nick Ashbourne. You're listening to Jays Talk here on the Sportsnet Radio Network. Still some time to give us a call, 416-870-0590, 1-888-666-0590, star 590 on your cell, 590-590, name and location. That's the People's Text line. It is always open. All right, Nick, I said we would ask the question to give away, I'm just trying to find it here. Here it is. So to give away some stuff. So a whole bunch of stuff. We got the Bo Bichette bobblehead, we got a bunch of Carabana hats, and we have the Jose Barrios bobblehead. It's actually last year's Roberto Clemente giveaway because, of course, Barrios wore the 21. He is Puerto Rican descent, as was Roberto Clemente, and, of course, as today is Clemente Day across all of Major League Baseball. I thought it would be fun to give away something that was tied to such an important figure in the league's history. So here's the trivia question. All you have to do is text us the answer to this question. Again, 590-590, name and location. You, Nick, are unfortunately ineligible to win this prize. I'm sorry. But name and location are once again mandatory for this giveaway. So here's the question. So yesterday, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. became the youngest player to hit 500 RBI for the team. So before Vladdy, who was the youngest player age-wise to hit 500 career RBI with the Blue Jays? And I'll give you a hint. It is not Carlos Delgado. I inadvertently said, I may have said that yesterday. It is not Carlos Delgado. So again, before Vladdy did this yesterday, who was the youngest player age-wise to hit 500 career RBI with the Blue Jays? So you can text me that player's name to 590-590, name and location. If you get it correct, you will be entered into a draw to win your choice of the Jose Barrios bobblehead, the Bo Bichette bobblehead, or another Carabana hat. So again, 590-590, name and location. I guess I'm not on. There's no Jays Talk tomorrow, so I guess I'll just announce it next week. I'll reach out to the winner directly, but I guess we'll announce it on Saturday next weekend, Nick.
I think you saved yourself a lot of Carlos Delgado texts, to be honest. I think that would have been plenty of people's guesses. So I think that was very much a helpful hint.
Yeah, I try to narrow it down a little bit. 'Cause it could be a lot of people, right? I mean, then again, the Blue Jays are not like the oldest franchise in Major League Baseball, so it's probably only like a short list of people it could possibly be, anyways. So, anyways, there you go. Who is the youngest player age-wise to hit 500 career ribbies with the Blue Jays before Vladdy took that record yesterday? And again, it is not Carlos Delgado. So again, 590-590, name and location. All right, let's go back to the text line outside of the texts that are now pouring in. This is why I try to do when I give away stuff on the text line, Nick, I try and do it after I've read a bunch of the texts, because I realized the first time I did it, it just buried all the legitimate questions. So I'm glad we answered some text initially. Here's a text, though, that actually was something I wanted to get to you in the first half. So I'm glad Jen in Toronto did text this, and Jen, always appreciate your text. And Jen says, hey guys, wasn't Scout, and she says Tidnish, and I think this is referring to Andrew Tinnish, if I remember correctly, but wasn't he years ago raving about Jimenez's skills? He's very talented, especially with the Bo situation. Hate to see him go. He is very cheap. We need more power, etc., in other positions. I think it's a valid point to bring up Leo Jimenez, because Leo, when you talk about the prospects on this team that are now playing, and we had the question earlier about, it's about the auditions for 2025 and so on. First of all, Leo Jimenez has looked very good. I've been very impressed by him. You want to see him have a little bit more offensive success, certainly, but defensively, he looks great. I've been very impressed by him. But with Leo, I think it's a valid question because he's, 23 years old. He's not as old as a Horwitz or certainly a Lucas or even an Ernie Clement. He's a little bit younger. There's still, and you mentioned it earlier, there's no options remaining for Jimenez. But it's so interesting because, you saw the defensive play today. It was at the top of the 6th inning. Jimenez makes the diving grab on the dirt. From his stomach, essentially, he just kind of backhands the ball to Ernie Clement at second, who rifles it to Horwitz. That was a great double play started by Jimenez. And because of his youth and because of the relative, at least right in this juncture, uncertainty for Bo, I do wonder what Jimenez's future is, and I can't help but think that he might actually have, again because of his youth and lack of options, a more certain future with a major league club than say a Horwitz or a Wagner or any of these other guys who in theory can be optioned.
Yeah, I mean, again, the option thing is massive. That always plays a role in how rosters are constructed because teams are reluctant to lose players. Like, why would I keep a player that has options and then waive one without options and lose him out of the organization? I'd rather stash the player with options in AAA and then keep if the players aren't radically different in skill. So that always plays a role. He also, the defensive skills that you mentioned, it gives him this floor where you don't necessarily probably see him as the everyday starter at second base or shortstop heading into 2025, but you know he can handle both of those positions successfully on defense. And when you know that, the bar for how much he has to hit is not high.
Right.
Like, if you think of kind of utility men around the league and how good are they as hitters, they're generally below average hitters, and that's fine because they don't make a ton of money and they give you some insurance on defense. And that's probably where you start with Leo Jimenez. It's like, this guy's a utility guy who makes the minimum, and you feel good when you put him in there defensively, and then you work from there about what kind of offense can he provide? Because as you mentioned, he is 23. There is a little bit more room for growth with guys who are younger, and he might be able to find more, he might be able to find a greater level of achievement than the one that's sort of projected for him, which is him being a below average hitter. We'll see. He's kind of disappointed with the plate discipline. He had a lot of that in the minors. In the majors, he struck out a lot and not walked much. But on the flip side, he's actually hit for a little bit more power than you would have expected. So it's been a bit of a mixed bag with him offensively. We'll have to see a lot more. But because he has that defensive skill and because he has that lack of options, it seems likely he'll be playing a role with the Blue Jays in 2025. It's just a matter of what exactly that role is.
Speaking of the double play, I did want to hear John Schneider's thoughts on the double play because, again, that might have been one of the most impressive plays, of a host of many of those kinds of plays that we saw today and really over the course of the whole series. But, again, Leo Jimenez, the other thing, too, with Jimenez, Nick, and Ben mentioned this, Ben Schulman mentioned this during the game, but if you remember, he was taken out. He didn't play yesterday because he was taken out of the batting order before the game started. He was slated to play yesterday and did not because he had a right index finger contusion. And what happened, Daniele Franceschi, who did Jays Talk with me yesterday, he was down on the field, and he's telling me during warm-ups, he saw basically, his finger kind of got jammed. He just took a ball on his throwing hand, off of his index finger, right near the fingernail, kind of in a weird way. So they scratched him because of the contusion. But Ben told me, I think he said this in the broadcast, too, that he got a glimpse of his finger when the clubhouse, Leo showed him his hand when the clubhouse opened, and it, basically the fingernail on his throwing hand was, barely hanging on, which I didn't want to have to be the only person to have that mental image in my head. So
thanks for sharing.
There you go. Everyone else gets to share in that, certainly. But he has been so good, even with the kind of injury he suffered yesterday on that throwing hand. So let's hear a little bit from John Schneider. Here's the skipper talking about that great double play from Jimenez.
That was unbelievable. It was kind of behind him. Ball hit really hard. He's good. I've been so impressed with his defense at short and at second. That was a big league double play. Those are the ones you don't see very often.
And that almost no-look pass, what does that say about the type of confidence he's playing with right now?
Yeah, I think so. I think, he's at the point, he's been here long enough. I think he can kind of, play his game. I think when you first get here, you're a little bit gun-shy to do things like that. And it's nice to see him kind of just relax and play his game.
So there you go. That's John Schneider talking about Leo Jimenez making just a phenomenal play today. And again, it's just those kinds of plays we have somewhat become accustomed to. I think I'm at the point, honestly, and again, the options thing, as you've highlighted so accurately, is a big part of what will happen with him next year. But I think I feel comfortable. If all of Clement, Wagner, and Jimenez are on this team next year in a platoon / backup roles across the diamond, or if Clement is splitting time with player X at third base and he's also at short occasionally to spell Bo, and he's also at second base occasionally, and then you can get Wagner and Jimenez in at second base, I think you'd feel all right with that if it means the Blue Jays can spend, it's a big if obviously, if they're going to pony up the cash for a big upgrade in left field or DH or what have you, for example.
Yeah, when they go out and shop in free agency, they're not going to go and get some big above-average hitter, established veteran at every spot that could conceivably thought of as a whole. That's just not the reality in terms of where their budget is going to be and just luring players across. Like, you know, you don't go into the market and be like, okay, we signed the 4 of the best 6 hitters available. It's just not how it works. So I think the hope for the franchise is that they will be able to bring in, you know, maybe 2 of those type of hitters, but you will need to figure out a couple positions with the guys you have internally who are less proven. And is one of those positions going to be second base? Potentially. Third base is another candidate for that. And Jimenez could be part of that mix. I've been really impressed with him at second base. I know that second is a less difficult position than shortstop, so whenever you have a shortstop, the assumption is, okay, he can play second base. But that play he made today, ranging into right field, is not an easy play as well. He's looked very natural there, and again, I think no one would have doubted that he could play that position, but it just goes to show how talented he is on the defensive side of the ball.
416-870-0590, 1-888-666-0590, star 590 on your cell. Let's go back to the phones. Let's go to Russ in New Jersey. Russ, what's up today, man?
Good afternoon, guys. It's pretty sad it's September. We're talking about next year. No, we didn't think we would be doing that in the beginning of the season, but it is what it is. I'll say again, I've said this all, even if it's not, I want to make a different point, but I don't think Bichette's getting traded. I think that this front office knows that they don't have many more years to make excuses, and they got to go out there. And Bichette, if he gets hot, is a tremendous, tremendous player. But the league hits a few times. So, here's a guy that that can, if he plays well next year and Vladdy, and you bring in the right free agents, you can be a competitor. So I don't think you're going to get the value like you said, and I think they bring you back. I want to make one comment on something you said, and I know it's not the Blue Jays, but it's our old friend Nav Santalos. You made a comment before, Nathan Lucas. He could be a 4th outfielder on a good team like the Braves. I think he might be their best outfielder today. Okay? That's a team that I give that guy, the former ex-Blue Jay GM, the most credit of anybody. He has 3 guys in the starting lineup most days who were UFA'd in the middle of this year in Merrifield, Lariano, and Urshela. How that team, now they've got it on pitching, but how that team has won, okay, with all the injuries they've suffered. They lost their race. They lost, Riley. They lost Acuna. They lost Alvey. And for a long periods of time. And for them to be in the position that they're in today is says a lot about their GM, how he picked up Merrifield. He was hitting 180 on the Phillies, and not saying he's ripping the league up, but he's hitting 270 on the Braves and Urshela, and he's picked up people. And it seems like whenever he picks up a guy, even the year they won the World Series, he picked up Solar, and he picked him up again now. They just fit in, and that team comes together. So, give a lot of credit to that guy in Atlanta, our ex-GM, because I think he's done a tremendous job there with all he's been dealt. And I could only imagine if he had the full team this whole year, where he would be, where they would be. I think they'd be way ahead of the Phillies. So, that's, a little bit off the Blue Jays, but to our former GM, I think he's done a great job.
Hey, Russ, appreciate the call as always, man. Thanks for joining us on Jays Talk. Yeah, I was just looking at the depth chart of the Braves. I know they just played them, but I just wanted to double check. So I think you got Kelnick in left most days, Harris in center field, who, by the way, is just ridiculous. I don't know if he might not be the strongest hitter, but some of the plays he makes in the outfield are silly, Nick. And you got Jorge Soler, as Russ mentioned, the Braves picked back up this year. I guess the 4th outfielder for the Braves this year is Ramon Laureano, I guess. And is Nathan Lucas of today better than what Ramon Laureano is? There was a time where Ramon Laureano was pretty damn good. It wasn't that long ago, right? Then I think he got busted for PEDs. He was suspended for half that season when he was still with the A's, and they kind of moved on from him in short order afterwards. But I still stand by again. I don't know if Nathan Lucas would be a starter with the Braves necessarily, over Soler or Kelnick or Harris. Certainly not over Acuna, but obviously to Russ's point, Acuna is injured. But I still stand by the idea, the opinion that Lucas is good enough to be a starter in this league, and it's just he's one of those guys that, he kind of got squeezed a little. I mentioned by circumstance, but the other part of it, too, is because there's not room for anyone, to some of the texters' points from earlier, there's not enough room for all of Wagner, Loperfido, Jimenez, Barger, Schneider, Clement, Lucas. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can go down the list. Only a handful of them can be optioned, like you said. Some of them will be, obviously, but only some of them will end up being on the Blue Jays next year as well. So, like, out of necessity, some of them will be traded. And, I mean, if Lucas is not on the team next year, I got to think a big part of his value, if he's not going to play for the Blue Jays in 2025, then you got to think, as the Blue Jays look to try and rebuild their bullpen, when it comes to, like, identifying good assets to have be late inning relievers. I'm not talking about a bona fide MLB closer by any means, but one thing I will give Ross Atkins credit for is he has consistently been able to identify good pieces for bullpen usage, and I can't help but think that Lucas might be one of those guys going forward. If they like had to trade him, he might be a good chip to get some kind of bullpen asset for the 2025 team.
He's such an unusual player because he's neither a proven veteran nor is he kind of an up-and-coming youngster. And so that makes him a difficult player to value. I think it's more likely to me that they would trade one of the young guys that's perceived to have a higher ceiling. I think you get more value for that player out on the trade market. And maybe Lucas, again, he's a win-now player. So if 2025 is a win-now campaign, which is everything we've heard has been indicating that, he's someone who works well, whereas maybe, again, a Loperfido is someone who is more flippable because you find someone who believes that long-term he's an everyday player, or, a Barge or someone like that, someone who's a little bit toolsier. I think those guys are easier to trade because other teams can dream on them. There's not a lot of dreaming on Nathan Lucas that goes on. Again, as we've said earlier in the show, he's got a major league skill set, and he has, he's got some notable qualities that make him, a solid MLB caliber player. But I think a lot of teams probably envision that they can develop someone of Lucas's caliber internally, whereas they might look externally for someone with plus tools like Barger's power, like Loperfido's speed and defense, things like that. It'll be interesting to see how it shakes out because, there's a good chance that during the offseason there is a bit of a pruning of this cohort of young players.
Yeah, it's true. I think it's almost impossible for them all to play, right? I mean, that's without Nick necessarily knowing what you have in your hands when it comes to, let's say, Elvis Martinez, right? I mean, it's a question mark now to a certain extent.
He's a big factor. He's arguably the most highly regarded of all those players, even though he's kind of been out of sight, out of mind. Yeah. He's someone who has the massive raw power who a lot of people saw as a future everyday player.
Speaking of guys we did talk about Bo a lot today, but he's been a little out of sight because he's been on the rehab assignment. I mentioned earlier that he did come up late in yesterday's game. The game before, he was DHing. He kind of just rifles one through the right side of the infield. Looks very Bo Bichette-esque. So, I think you're feeling all right that he is close to returning. I just looked in the box score. He did not play in today's game. They lost. The Bisons lose 6-2 to the Gwinnett Stripers, but he did not play. Having said that, though, I'm not sure it really matters, right? I mean, if Bo, the rehab assignment probably, Nick, was always going to be relatively short. Let's say you feel comfortable, the Blue Jays feel comfortable with Bo. You think Bo just, especially knowing that there's a day off, you think he just plays in Texas on Tuesday? Because there are not a lot of games left, right? There are 12 games remaining. 3 in Texas starting Tuesday, 3 in Tampa at the Trop, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, they take on the Red Sox. The day off next Thursday. And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they play the Marlins. The Red Sox and Marlins series are here at the Rogers Center. So, I mean, you got to think Bo is going to play a good chunk of those games. But I got to think that the aim seemed to be for the start of the road trip starting on Tuesday night.
That would make sense to me. The only counter I would put against that is the idea that people really hate the physical strain associated with playing at the Trop on that surface there. And so maybe there's some thought that you put him in and just kind of have him on the homestand to end the season. But as you said, he's been in Buffalo for a couple of games here. He's played in the field too. He certainly seems like he's pretty close to returning to the team.
You think you're going to learn a lot about Bo in those 12 games? Like, let's say he plays every single day, and he plays at shortstop every single day. And I mean, if he did, I don't think anyone would be surprised because that is something Bo Bichette has done to great effect over the course of his entire major league career. But let's say he does that, right? Let's say he does that. You think that's really going to change people's opinions on what Bo Bichette is, like for better or for worse, if he plays like 12 games, and like unless he's going out and he clubs 15 home runs in 12 games or something, which would be insane. But like you know what I mean? Like what would it take for people's minds to be changed, either positively or negatively in the span of 12 games starting Tuesday?
I mean, you joke about a crazy home run total, but I really think it's only at the extremes. Like if he comes out and he can't get a single hard hit ball, everything is a dribbler to the mound, or he comes out and he hits a bunch of home runs and just, hits the ball the other way, uses the whole field like we know he can. The problem for him this season, from a performance standpoint, other than injuries, has been quality of contact. So I think they would like to see him come out and just hit the ball hard in however many plate appearances he's able to get. But generally speaking, it would probably be extremely good performance or extremely bad performance that would raise eyebrows. And almost anything in between would just be kind of about routine and getting him back in there.
Well, Nick, we always get the best performance out of you here on Jays Talk. You're the man. I guess that does it for us, but we are back to do some Jays Talk Plus towards the end of the regular season. Not next week, but the week after.
That is correct, the 26th and 27th.
All right, well, rest up. Enjoy the football until then, and I'll see you then, man.
All right, will do.
That is Nick Ashbourne. I'm Shoat Lee. Appreciate you all being with us on Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by the local family-owned Crown West Control Centers in Spring Hill and Truro, Nova Scotia. Protect your vehicle from rust today. You can find your local family-owned Crown at crown.com, Canada's #1 rust protection. For Nick Ashbourne, Ben Schulman, Ben Nicholson-Smith, Tom Young, Andrew Adams, Nick Blackmore, I'm Shoat Lee. That does it for us. We are out of here. Blair and Barker have you covered all week long. I am back when the Jays are at the Trop next weekend. I'll be doing the show from Baseball Control, and we will do some more giveaways then. Thank you to everyone who texted in. Again, the question, who was the youngest Blue Jay prior to Vladdy yesterday taking this title to hit the 500 RBI mark? You can text that question, the answer to that question rather, to 590-590, name and location to be entered into the draw to win a bunch of Blue Jays merch. Like I said, do some more giveaways next weekend. Have a great rest of your weekend, everyone. We'll talk to you later.
This has been Major League Baseball play-by-play on SiriusXM and the SiriusXM app.
Why do I love calling this game?
Calling this game?
Calling this game?
Calling this game.
Why do I love calling this game? It's because I get a chance to bring some joy into people's lives.
Anything can happen on a baseball field.
We've got a new game. It's perfectly unscripted theater.
Everybody on their feet. Because you never know what you're going to see on a given day.
It is Bedlam in the bank as Bryce Harper has put the Phillies on top.
There's just something about baseball on the radio.
Something about the way wood hits leather.
A swing and a drive to deep left center.
The way leather hits dirt.
And he made the play. Oh, my.
The way a deep fly ball sounds like it's about to change history.
High fly ball to center field. It's hit pretty well toward the wall.
Until the cleats hit the grass, hit the crushed brick, and then nothing but sky and a silent crowd.
That ball's high.
Until leather hits leather and 40,000 fans lose their collective minds in a perfect symphony of chaos.
He jumped up on top of the wall, balanced himself, and caught it.
The way nothing triumphs a perfectly honest call.
I don't believe what I just saw.
And the way the right voice can make a moment live forever.
Touch 'em all, Joe. You'll never hit a bigger home run in your life.
Outsiders may think this is just two teams.
The ball, a bat, and a microphone. But no. For over 100 years, this has been the soundtrack of the American pastime.
He struck it out looking. It's over. It's over. The Rangers have won the World Series.
The soundtrack of summer. This is Major League Baseball on the radio.
Right now on SiriusXM.
All rise.
Coming in 5.
Get ready to play.
4.
Get up. Get up.
3.
Can you believe it?
Put your seatbelt on.
Wow. Talk about the game and all the stories on MLB Network Radio, SiriusXM 89 and the SiriusXM app.
To watch fans greet him with the kind of love that they did and know that not just Dodgers fans, but also clearly all the years that he was down there, Shohei's loved in Southern California.
Yeah, it was great to see. I know there was some talk about how he was going to be received, but it was just great to see that the Angel fans showed their appreciation, for what he did for the organization. And, it was ultimately a business decision, but, it still doesn't take away the 6 years that what he did for that organization. So that was good, and I think it's something that he felt good about. I don't think it was going to impact his performance either way, but it was still nice to be received that way.
Mad Dog Sports Radio has the best sports talk in the business, covering sports with a passion and knowledge you need. Mad Dog Sports Radio, Sirius XM 86, and the SXM app.
I'm Frank Trachtenberg with your Sirius XM MLB schedule for Sunday, September the 15th. All times are Eastern, and please remember, all games, times, and channels are subject to change. Check SiriusXM.com for the latest updates. 12:10 p.m., Detroit Tigers take on the Baltimore Orioles. Tigers on Sirius 208, XM 175, and Internet 849. Orioles on Internet 842. 1:05 p.m., Minnesota Twins take on the Cincinnati Reds. Twins on Sirius XM channels 89, Internet 856. Reds on Internet 846. 1:35 p.m., New York Yankees take on the Boston Red Sox. Yankees on Sirius 210, XM 177, and Internet 858. Red Sox on Internet 843. 1:35 p.m., Philadelphia Phillies take on the New York Mets. Phillies on Sirius 211, XM 178, and Internet 860. Mets on Internet 857. 1:35 p.m., Washington Nationals take on the Miami Marlins. Nationals on Sirius 109, XM 180, and Internet 869. Marlins on Internet 854. 1:35 p.m., Pittsburgh Pirates take on the Kansas City Royals. Pirates on Sirius 97, XM 179, and Internet 861. Royals on Internet 851. 1:37 p.m., Toronto Blue Jays take on the St. Louis Cardinals. Blue Jays on Sirius 209, XM 176, and Internet 868. Cardinals on Internet 865. 1:40 p.m., Cleveland Guardians taking the Tampa Bay Rays. Guardians on Sirius 159, XM 181, and Internet 847. Rays on Internet 866. 2:10 p.m., Chicago White Sox taking the Oakland A's. White Sox on Sirius 156, XM 182, and Internet 845. A's on Internet 859. 3:10 p.m., Colorado Rockies taking the Chicago Cubs. Rockies on Sirius 104, XM 183, and Internet 848. Cubs on Internet 844. 4 p.m. Arizona Diamondbacks take on the Milwaukee Brewers. Diamondbacks on Sirius XM channels 89, Internet 840. Brewers on Internet 855. 4:05 p.m. San Francisco Giants taking the San Diego Padres. Giants on Sirius 148, XM 184, and Internet 863. Padres on Internet 862. 4:07 p.m. LA Angels take on the Houston Astros. Angels on Sirius 147, XM 185, and Internet 852. Astros on Internet 850. 4:10 p.m. Seattle Mariners taking the Texas Rangers. Mariners on Sirius 208, XM 175, and Internet 864. Rangers on Internet 867. Spanish feed on Internet 871. 7:10 p.m. Atlanta Braves taking the LA Dodgers. Braves on Sirius 209, XM 176, and Internet 841. Dodgers on Internet 853. National feed on Sirius XM and Internet channels 89. Spanish feed on Internet 870. I'm Frank Trachtenberg with your Sirius XM MLB schedule for Sunday, September the 15th. All times are Eastern, and please remember, all games, times, and channels are subject to change. Check SiriusXM.com for the latest updates. 12:10 p.m., Detroit Tigers take on the Baltimore Orioles. Tigers on Sirius 208, XM 175, and Internet